Welcome back to another episode of the Draft Degenerates podcast. I am your host, Shane Kubis. I never say that enough as a podcast host. You'd think I would introduce myself every episode. And joining me is Dalton Blackman. Dalton, we had a lot of fun last week with the epic mock through Draft Professor. If you guys aren't familiar, if it's the first time you're seeing anything about that, we're kicking the show off with that because we had a lot of fun last week. Epic Mock 26. I'm sure if you were on Twitter last week, you probably saw stuff about it, all these different picks of these mock drafts and different shows doing different things. We were a part of that with the Chargers. It was a ton of fun, and we wanted to kick off the show. Before we do our My Guys, Not My Guys list, Jake, unfortunately, probably won't be here dealing with something right now. Unfortunately, didn't get a hold of his list before he was doing that, so it might just be Dalton and I talking about that. But before we jump into that, Dalton, let's break down Epic Mock a little bit, what we did and just how the event kind of went overall.
Yeah, so do you want me to share my screen with the board?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right. So, yeah, here is the board from Epic Mock. So, we had the Chargers. I feel like in general, as far as the Chargers go, we had a pretty good we had a pretty solid Chargers draft, I would say. We ended up with hard to see on here, but we ended up with in the first round. We took Peter Woods. Kind of not a. Obviously, we talked a lot about how our target was Ioane.
Yeah,
really never had a shot at him.
Yeah, he went right at 14, like we all kind of expected in Epic Mock.
Yeah.
So,
and offensive linemen in general, which we'll talk about that in a second. Just really weren't in the cards for us there. So we kind of went BPA, got some help on the front seven, took Peter Woods. We went with Jennings Dunker and Jayshawn Barham in the second round or in the second and third round, which I think was a very hardball draft. Kind of continued that on day 3. We got Joe Royer, good blocking tight end that can also do some pass catching things. And then just tried to add some offensive weapons with Aaron Anderson. And we also got a weapon on defense in Lorenzo Styles Jr. And who else am I missing? I think there was one other guy we took.
Yeah, I know that I was not around for part of the day, so I missed out on a lot of the day 3 stuff. But I know we picked up someone else late.
I think we got...
It was, I see one of our picks right there.
There's Styles.
Styles. So we had 171 from a trade. That was Anderson. We should have 180 something too, I thought, or maybe I'm wrong.
It was 8. Our other one was 125. I think we only had 3 picks on. Oh, no, we had... Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because, again, I missed some of the day for that, so I wasn't able to help you guys out as much on day 3. But I think, like we talked about, we got... At 95 is when we got Barham because we moved down with the Patriots to 95. That was our only real trade in that class, or in the mock. So we ended up getting, again, Joe Royer, 123. We got, I'm just pulling it up myself on my end too, the Aaron Anderson pick. We also got...
I thought we took somebody in between those.
I thought so too. So unless it's not showing on here or something. Because we got Lorenzo Styles as well. Did we get somebody?
We didn't have a lot of picks.
No, there wasn't a lot of picks. I think... No, yeah, because we ended up with 6 picks instead of 5. So that is correct, because we got 3 picks on day 3 and then 3 picks on day 1 and 2 total. So, yeah, we finished with Styles Jr. I know we wanted to pick up another pick or 2 if we could, but I know at one point we were trying to trade Trey Lance. That didn't end up happening. Not that I blame anybody for not flipping us something for him.
Yeah.
But that was the
Yeah.
ultimate draft for the Chargers. We overall, the Peter Woods pick, I'm a little lower on him with his process, the way that he went through it, but I do think the talent is worth the pick for sure. And I think we debated that one for a little bit,
Yeah.
but landed ultimately. Dalton had him a good bit higher than the other players that Jake and I were talking about compared to where the gap was for those players between Peter Woods and him. So we ultimately went with Woods, which I don't mind. I like the Dunker pick at 55. He's a little bit lower than 55 on my board. At least I think he's going to be, but he fits kind of what they're looking for. I think that he can run or do a lot of good stuff in the run game, especially for them, which I know what Harbaugh's going to be wanting to do with McDaniel being there now too. And getting Barham in 95, who I've watched some of now because I know Jake kind of led the charge on that one. Um, I think that's well worth it because he's a guy that could end up being a better pro than he was a college player once he
Yeah.
sticks at edge full time. Because I think that's what he's going to be best at in the NFL. He was a linebacker slash edge for most of his career, especially this past year. He started playing edge more so. And I think that will be his NFL home. So that could be a really good pick.
Yeah. If he learns to not freelance, he could be really good because
Yeah.
the thing I saw is like there's a lot of right now he might be like a pure pass rusher, but the thing is he's excellent against the run. Like
Yeah,
he
he
is,
uses linebacker experience to kind of
yeah,
I think he understands how to play the run from even the edge position,
yeah,
really. So that helps him a lot. He's not a big guy by any means. I think he might be sub 250 last I checked, unless he
something
added
like
some
that.
weight.
Yeah,
But he plays bigger than that. I think that comes with
yeah,
that linebacker mentality, kind of bringing it down to the edge spot. So he's
I
definitely
agree. Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway from Epic Mock and kind of why we had to take Dunker at 55 is because I think the one thing that I expect to after doing this, the one thing I expect to see next week in the draft is offensive linemen are going to fly off the board.
Yeah, I really think there's a good chance that, especially like once we get to the teens, is where I think that's going to start really kind of flying off the board. But you saw in this mock, like it started at, I don't think the first one came off the board until pick 11 with Maui Noah, and then it was just a free for all from that point
Yeah, Maui
to
Noah
get all of
went.
them. But
Yeah,
you got
11.
Ioane at 14, Fano at what 16 or 17? I think it's 17.
Yeah,
Then Freeling, Lomu, Proctor, Miller, all in a row. Like all of them coming off the board, all the tackles, especially the guys we expect to play tackle. Proctor obviously kind of inside out potential, but just
yeah.
Ihanicher even at the end of the Basantis,
9
the
offensive
32nd pick.
linemen in the first round.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be shocked if that happened. Like it might not be all the same players, but I expect that wouldn't be surprising if a quarter of the first round or so, whether it's 8 or 9 guys, end up being offensive linemen. Because at the end of the day, in a class like this, where maybe the offensive line class isn't like super, super strong, if you do want to bank on something, banking on offensive linemen is usually a better bet than, first round receiver sometimes, depending on the quality of that player. Obviously,
Yeah,
some of these edge rushers are a little iffy in some ways, honestly, in my opinion, even if they might still be first round players. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if some teams just choose to go that route, hoping just to hit on something.
yeah, and I think the view people have on these different offensive linemen,
Yeah,
is very different. Like I think guys that are 8 or 9, in terms of tackles or interior guys, on some people's boards, with like a midday 2 grade, are going to be the 3rd or 4th guy on somebody else's board, and they're gonna end up getting drafted late first, early second.
yeah, I
We're
wouldn't be
gonna
shocked.
talk about not my guys later, and the thing I figured out this week is I feel like there's a lot of offensive linemen that are getting a lot of like top 40 pick hype
Mm-hmm.
that I really didn't see coming up, like that I wouldn't feel good about taking until like the later part of day 2, if
Yeah,
not like early day 3. And it's gonna be very interesting to see what happens on draft night, to see if this is the board that we get. I'm curious, what was the most surprising pick to you of Epic Mock, Shane?
Epic Mock overall, or do we want to stick
Yeah.
to the first round?
I mean, if you have one that's day two
Yeah,
that you're more surprised
gotcha.
by
Let
than
me pull it up
the
on
first?
my end too, just make it easier on myself to read through because I know I'll say surprising in the sense like not for my own necessarily rankings, but just kind of based on what all the buzz is. Because there's plenty of players who I think either went too high or too low. But as far as surprising names, I think one right off the bat, and I kind of understand it. And this was also a weird thing because it was an admin pick because the Titans um, GM group was not around for it for whatever reason. But Ted Hurst at 35, right at the top of the second round, that surprised me because even though his hype is growing, he's still, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in the 70s on the consensus board, maybe even lower than that. I may actually pull it up because I'm curious because I know
Yeah,
it's not super, super high, at least definitely not 35, maybe around there, but no, 79. Yeah. So, and I'm using mock draft database for consensus boards, just one I have access to. That's the best. But for him to go top of second round, I'd be very shocked. One, if that happened in general, and I was definitely shocked when we saw it come off the board in Epic Mock. So
yeah. I wasn't as surprised by that one just because I'm a big Ted Hurst guy over here. He's actually
right,
38 on my board. So even but I feel like I'm a big Ted Hurst guy,
exactly. Like
and he still went ahead of where he is on my board by a couple spots.
so, yeah. That's the thing is like even
Yeah,
if you're a big fan of Ted Hurst, I know this is obviously that group or whoever was making the picks at the time, which I think it was the main draft professor podcast where they were talking about it. Maybe they just were really high on Ted Hurst, right? But it is still a little bit of a shock to see him go that early
yeah.
and really any mock currently. So
That might be a little bit my fault. I was on a lot of
re
those wide receiver shows.
campaigning a lot for Ted, which again, I good player. I think he's probably more of a late second, early third, probably for me is where he's going to end up. After I did watch him more after our earlier wide receiver show. A lot of receivers I have to watch that, or I did have to watch after that show. But
Yeah,
again, 35th is still really high for where he's projected, at least, right? So,
yeah. I think the biggest shock to me was Jacob Rodriguez. I'm going
ooh,
in the first round and also 19 on a board that still had CJ Allen on it, which and just generally I don't know how much I like the linebackers after the Ohio State guys that early. I like
yeah,
Jacob Rodriguez a lot, but I mean this is still a guy that might not be legit starting NFL linebacker, or at least not more than an average one.
yeah. Like for me, I didn't pick that one because it's still pretty far off consensus, but it's getting closer to consensus to have him close to the
Yeah,
first round at least. That early would still be a little bit rich for me, but I do have a late first round grade on him. So if he went, 7 to 10 spots lower, I wouldn't have batted an eye at that from a personal level. And he is 44th out of the consensus board right now. So like that's still a reach. And even I would probably, like I said just a minute ago, did say they would probably still be a reach, but it's not that shocking overall compared to again like Ted Hurst was picked
yeah,
almost like 50 spots ahead of the consensus board, right? So
yeah,
that one's pretty, just in terms of the gap from where the consensus is at, it's pretty big. So
yeah. He's 60 on my board. I'm a little lower on him,
yeah,
but yeah,
so
that
41
that
spots for
was
you is
one that
different, yeah.
surprised me a little bit. What's that?
So that's 41 spots. So that is pretty big.
Yeah,
Just looking through it again a little bit, some other guys. I don't let me double check where he's at in the consensus because this might not be that surprising actually. Yeah, he's not that wasn't far. Daryl Jackson Jr. is a guy that I'm a little lower on. He went at 56, but he's 80 on the consensus board. That's not
yeah,
that egregious of a reach in terms of even that. Um, I was a little surprised Ty Simpson lasted till 61 because I figured there must be some fan of him in this group of 32 podcasts, but we ended up getting him with the Rams at 61. So kind of, I guess that's a little bit of a surprise for
yeah.
sure.
And the Rams
Yeah,
being the pick is, I still don't know how I feel about that. I like the I mean I like the idea of him getting to sit and develop behind
yes,
Stafford.
yeah,
The problem, I mean, but and again, this problem can't really be solved
no,
anymore because he already declared. The problem is he needs to play.
yeah, probably. Probably. Oh, another one. Not to get off that conversation because I agree. I think that unfortunately, he should probably be playing for a team if you want him to have a chance to work out because he still needs reps. He's not one of those guys that's like, oh, he just needs a minute to like settle into the NFL speed of the game. Like he just needs to play the football game more. Like he just doesn't do anything right now because he hasn't played as much, I should say, right now. He would have been a guy that I definitely still think should have gone back to school. You're right. Tim Keenan at 79.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
about that one.
I just think he's firmly like a guy you take in like the 5th round to do one thing, and that's great. And I have nothing against Tim. I think he's a good player. I just 79 feels like a pretty significant jump in where I would actually be willing to take him. And for what's worth, he's 143 on the consensus board. He might end up just because of the way this class is and the fact I know he can do one thing well. He might be a little bit higher than that on my overall board when we're done, but it's not gonna be much higher than that, right? So like
Yeah.
that one was definitely a little bit of a shock. Just looking at some other guys.
Here's a question:
Um,
what do you
yeah,
think of I believe third quarterback off the board was your Steelers, Talon Green.
yeah, no, yeah, no. Um, I just at the end of the day, I don't think he's going to play quarterback in the NFL, right? Like that from a personal standpoint, I don't see him playing quarterback at the NFL level. And honestly, the thing is, you could also say that with the guy that I have as my current third quarterback, Cole Payton, I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't play quarterback much in the NFL either. So you could argue like, does it matter that much? Maybe
Yeah,
not. But like, and at least with Green, I think even more so than Payton, where I think he could play something else. I imagine that Green could find something to do in the NFL with his athletic profile. It just comes
yeah,
down like Kenny, like obviously learning a whole new position once you're at the NFL level is kind of not something that happens very often. And when it does, it usually doesn't lead to a ton of success. You have some stories in there of like the Logan Thomases of the world and Terrell Pryor for like 2 years, guys like that.
yeah,
But he's still somebody that I'd be interested in trying that out with, though.
yeah,
Like if he doesn't work out, but using a top 100 pick on a player that I personally don't think is ever going to play that position in the NFL, just hard for me to get behind as a fan of
yeah.
that team. So
Counter argument because you mentioned
yeah,
Pryor. Pryor might never have had to switch positions if he played in today's league.
maybe, but I also don't really know what I would have evaluated Pryor as a quarterback, though. With Green, I evaluated him and did not think he's an NFL quarterback. So it's different,
Fair.
right? Like if I would have thought Pryor was an NFL quarterback after evaluating him, then it would have been, obviously I would have been more willing to take him, wherever that would have been. But getting to see Green, I don't know if I've seen enough from him to make me think that he's going to be able to play quarterback in the NFL, at least not as a starting level quarterback. Maybe a backup he'll be able to be as a very high variance one is kind of
That's
how
kind
I
of what I'm
view him.
thinking.
And that's not the worst pick at 99 you could make by any means, but it is still a top 100 pick. It's like if I want to, like, I have no problem with the Steelers drafting Taylor Green if the number in front of the pick is like a 1 and a 3 or higher, like
Yeah,
1-3 something. Like then I'm like, sure, man, it's day 3. I could care less. It doesn't really even matter that much unless like there's someone glaring on the board that you should definitely take a chance on. Sure, give it a shot.
I get
But
that.
for me, that was a rough pick. Yeah, a little bit.
Do you think he'll be the third quarterback off the board?
Oh man, I think Nussmeier still will be, because that's just what I think teams will be. And
That's just
honestly,
for
wouldn't
growth.
shock me if it was 99 to the Steelers or 85. Like that wouldn't shock me very much.
Ew.
I'm prepared for that, not in a good way, but I have physically prepared myself for him to be on this
Here's
team
the thing:
as a
would you
top 100 pick.
rather Nussmeier just being Garrett Nussmeier on the Steelers, or would you rather than take the chance on Taylor Green if you're stuck between those two?
Like if I have to use the same pick on them.
Yeah,
Like let's say it's pick. Let's just say use 99 since this was the
yeah,
scenario. Then yeah, I'd just take Taylor Green because at least there's something interesting with him at least.
yeah,
I don't. The problem with Nuss is that I think he's a backup quarterback, and that's it.
yeah,
With Green, at least there might be something else there. Like even
yeah,
if it's still just a backup quarterback, at least it's a backup quarterback that like might run for an 80-yard touchdown randomly for fun. Like
yeah,
that's fun, I guess. I don't see the upside with Nussmeier as a starting quarterback. So if I'm not getting a potential starter, in my opinion, anyway, at least take the big physical dude. Like that's kind of my take on that. So you can argue that one.
yeah. I think last thing on Epic Mock.
Yeah.
Last favorite pick
Okay.
from Epic Mock.
Hmm. That's a good one. I should have been thinking about that in anticipation for this question. Favorite pick.
Oh, I know what mine is. And it's because it was the trade that was involved with it was so good.
Oh, I think I know. Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I mean,
Yeah.
Arizona,
Yep.
shout
Yeah.
out to the Cardinals guys, Giacomo 13.
Yeah.
I gotta they were cooking with that
Yeah.
trade.
They were.
Traded down from 3 to 5 with the Giants.
Yep.
And still ended Ruben Bain. And yeah, I mean, got some extra draft capital and still very much got one of the top 3 players in this class. So yeah, I thought that was a really impressive pick. And conversely, as much as I love Sonny Styles, I don't know if I would move up from 5 to 3 to get him, especially when you
Right.
probably didn't need to move up.
Right. That's the thing with the Giants. Like, and again, maybe they thought the Titans would take him over Love, and they didn't want Love. They wanted Styles. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. But I don't know if that would have happened, frankly. Like,
Yeah, I
I
don't
simply don't
think so
know,
either.
and I might have been willing to find out, frankly. Like, that's the
Yeah.
other thing.
I think at 5 you were still getting a pretty good player
Right.
regardless.
That's kind of what I think too. As far as other favorites, like I don't know if I love moving up for them because I think that they need to just add as much young talent and cheap talent to this roster as possible because of the status of their roster. But the Niners getting Casey Concepcion is so fun, even if they had
Oh
to go
yeah.
up to 20. Like if someone who's a fan of KC, if he's ever going to be what I think what the potential of him is going to be, it's going to be with the Niners. Like that's who would to be able to do it. So I like that pick a lot. I'll throw this one out there too because I think this is the pick that, or this is where this player could go and actually potentially hit on his ceiling and be worth it. The Monroe Freeling Eagles pick at 23 makes so much sense for like what type of player he
Yeah.
is, skill set, the fact that he won't have to play right away, which I think is important for him because I do think he has to clean some stuff up if he's going to be a solid, if not better than that tackle at the next level. So I like that pick a good bit. Moving down the
Yeah, he'll
board,
be their swing tackle for a year and then
yeah.
he'll be an all pro within 5 years.
That with Eagles,
With
probably.
the Eagles. Yeah.
I know that they don't have what's his face anymore, the offensive line coach, running game coordinator. But they're still. I'm pretty confident they're still going to be able to get that done. I'll throw out another one. This would be a Ravens thing to do as well. Akeem Mesidor at 45. I understand the age thing and all that stuff, but like that's a good value. Yeah, that's a good value for him because you get him at a better value with his age. You get a player who's ready to compete right away for you, and you kind of get that pass rush really going after you bring on Trey Hendrickson as well already. So that's a good pick for sure. Just looking at some others. Nothing else. Patriots getting Pawns at 54 kind of fucking rocks if you ask me. I was kind of mad that took that, as much as we needed guard. I was kind of mad the Pawns went off the board right before we could pick. But that one is really awesome. Any other ones that stand out for you, Dalton?
See the Pons pick is good. I think for me, the Raiders getting Caden McDonald at 36.
Yeah,
I like that fit pretty good. I mean, we were talking about taking him at 22 to the Chargers.
I was advocating for it because I at least my thing was I knew that if we like I know that he's going to be good at that, and that being run defense, and I just felt really good about the floor of that. But the Woods pick, I do understand still us doing that one because the upside.
I think there's a little more upside
there.
there.
There is. There absolutely is. Yeah.
For 22 now, like McDonald is 25 on my board, so the Raiders getting him at 36.
Yeah,
so
that's nice.
If you get him as your nose tackle after taking Mendoza in the first round, you're building a pretty solid foundation for the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the Raiders, Halsey at 67 to play safety for them. I know I'm higher on him. Yeah, I'm higher on him than you, and I think also maybe than Jake. but I have him like he's probably going to be around 40ish on my board. So getting him down 67
Yeah.
is awesome, at least
He's
for me.
57 for me, so
Yes, so that's still good
value is
value.
still
Yeah, even
good.
for you then. Yeah, because again, that's a third round pick. Like
Yeah.
that's that's pretty good. Um, yeah, those are kind of the ones that definitely stand out to me. That
Yeah.
I thought was definitely like really valuable picks here. So, but yeah,
Eli
unless there's
Stowers would
any.
do
Yeah.
nothing on the Jets.
Oh, dude, yeah, I don't know the Stowers pick, man. I forgot about that one. It's just I don't hate Eli Stowers by any means, but it's like he's very much is what he is. But like the Jets, man, like you need real receivers, and like he might be a good receiver, and like basically would be a receiver. But like let's just get different skill set in there a little bit. But
Yeah.
because I
Geno
like
Smith
Taylor.
running the ball, yeah, it's just I just don't know.
And I like Mason Taylor, and like he's like probably he's closer to being a true tight end for them than Stowers would
Yeah.
be, but I don't know. I might have just taken a receiver there.
Yeah. I
Um,
just don't not the pick when your quarterback's cooked, but that's also
yeah, when
not the
you're
people drafting for this fault.
yeah when you're they also traded for the Jets user traded for
Oh
Will
yeah, they
Levis.
traded a late pick for Will Levis.
They did. I think it was like a pick swap or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was that was also part of that, so that's interesting. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so
I
but
actually don't hate that. Like Will Levis would at least be Will Levis in New York. Actually, it sounds like so much fun, especially like
oh, it'd
on a
be
struggling
really fun.
Jets team that's gonna be chaos regardless. With a head coach coaching for his life, pulling out all the stops. I'm kind of all for it, especially if Gino is like cooked, like I'm pretty sure he is. He might as well just send Will Levis out there anyways.
Yeah, which
After
that
like
would
week 4 to save the season.
to save the season. Yeah, I think the only thing that
Or,
would be saved is
or try.
you have to try. He would the amount of turnovers that would happen, that would be comical. Because I'm honestly, as much as like I'm happy the Titans got Cam Ward, I think he's going to work out for them ultimately if they do the right things around him. It was so fun watching every week, waiting to see what stupid shit Will Levis was going to do. Because there was a point where I think I guessed a defensive touchdown as my like touchdown parlay for the NFL
Yeah.
for our betting show, and like I bet on him being the one to do it, or the Titans being the one that it happened to like 3 times that season, and was right 2 out of 3 times or something like that.
Yeah.
That's not normal, folks. Like that's not supposed to be something you can hit more than like once every couple of years, a defensive touchdown pick. Like when you're not doing it, like
Yeah.
especially when it was like once a week. I wasn't like betting on 5
On
of
the
them a
same
week.
guy.
Yeah, it's the same against the same team, and just the memes of like him with his hand with his head or hands on his head, like on his knees,
God,
like can't believe I just did
yeah.
that type. Like he did it. Not he was so special at being a meme. It was awesome. So I would definitely welcome it.
Start games this year.
Yeah, we need to see a couple starts. Gino, just at some point, just decide I don't need to do this anymore. I'm going to take a break. Something.
Again,
We need to see that.
Yeah, and again,
We
this
need
is
to
the
see
part
that
I'm
trade
gonna
happen.
Yeah, this is the part I'm going to struggle with though. That this is not the actual draft.
I'm so you're going to think Will Levis is on
I am
Jet.
going to. I am stuck with that in as my headcanon now that Will Levis is Jet.
Yeah, we're gonna end up like whatever we do post draft, which we'll talk about how we're gonna handle the show after the draft. But like whatever we do, we're gonna be talking about the Jets, and you're gonna be like, yeah, like I really think they should just give Willis a shot Levis a shot at some point. And I'm like, what? Because I'll forget about it by the time we get I promise I will, because I have too many other things to think about. And I'm like, Will Levis. I'm like, we're talking about this. Like, what do you talk? The Titans? Like, you want to? And he's like, and you're like, no, the Jets. I'm like, oh fuck, you think the Epic Mock trade happens still? And you're like, oh god damn, like I already know that clip's
what's gonna
happening.
happen. That is absolutely what's gonna happen.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we will have to clip that if that happens, but we'll see.
Absolutely.
But no, yeah, if you're good, we can get into our my guys, not my guys. But it was definitely fun to be in the Epic Mock. It was definitely a good time.
Yeah.
Also, while we were doing that, yeah, good segue into it. While we were doing that, I did get Jake's my guys, not my guys list. So even if he's not able to end up on the show at any point tonight, at least we will have his list to talk about a little bit. So, but yeah, let's kick things off. I'll have you start, Dalton. We'll start with my guys. Start positive. Gonna want to do that. Give me. It doesn't have to be like if you have them ordered or anything. It doesn't have to be your number one or whatever. But just give me one of your 5 main my guys that you wrote down.
My one of my guys, Eli Raridan, tight end from Notre Dame.
Oh, that's a good one.
He's my tight end too. Very high on my big board.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 48. I just think like he's with the size and the tenacity that he blocks with for a guy that can also really have the potential to be a problem as a receiver. I just think there's just so much to like there. And he is consensus. Um, Looking at mock draft database, I believe he is tight end. He's like tight end 3, 4, 8, and they have him as 146 overall.
Yeah, that
Um,
I expect to keep. It's been going up slowly. I think
yeah,
he was like in the 190s a couple weeks ago. I just wonder if people just haven't gotten around to him because, like, I'm not nearly as high on him, but I still think 146 is pushing it pretty hard. Like, my thing that I got with him, and I don't have him as like a not my guy by any means, especially because his consensus ranking isn't very high. I just felt like he didn't move around the way that I wanted a guy who's probably going to be a primarily a receiving threat because I think his frame is impressive, but his blocking is just limited right now, in my opinion, because I think he needs
yeah,
to
the
add weight.
technique needs work.
Yeah, and he also I think he just needs to bulk up a little bit to be a better blocker because he's kind of thinly built. He has like I think he's 240 something at 6'6", if I'm not mistaken.
Um,
Um,
the
I might be
measurement I
wrong.
had was old. It was 6'7", 251, but that
Okay.
might not be what he
Yeah, I
actually
think if I'm not
measured.
mistaken, which
I can grab it.
let me actually, yeah, if you can if you want, but I still think that he's worth like I have him as an early day 3 pick, and I think he's a guy that's worth taking and trying to develop into more of a full time tight end. Um, so yeah, 6'6", 245 is
Yeah,
what he was
six.
at
I
the
was gonna. Yeah,
yeah. So and the length is not very now. A lot of the tight ends don't have great length, and that's not a huge thing for tight ends anyway. But tested well. I mean, 4'6", 240, 36 vert. Uh, as a
yeah,
lot of guys like I just think that he on the field didn't move the way that I would like a guy who I think is going to need to be a primarily receiving threat player moved as well as I wanted to, and that was a little bit clunky. But if he can clean
yeah,
some of that stuff up, or just get maybe he does just need to fill out his frame a little bit more to feel more comfortable running around, honestly, which is possible. Because I know he dealt with injuries, so like he's been out for a lot of his time at Notre Dame, so he
yeah,
might just need to just play more honestly and just to get into more of a football shape, frankly.
yeah. That
NFL
40
body.
time surprised me. Like my
Yeah, I didn't
main
see him like
concern.
that. Yeah,
No, my main concern in my notes was slow.
yeah, and those like I just didn't think he moved super well for I think he was a
Yeah,
solid athlete for the size he was listed at, but like just clunky kind of. So,
yeah,
but I knew that was going to be one of your guys because I know you were very high on him. I'll do one of mine here, and then I'll throw out one of Jake's here. So I'll start. I'll save my top guy for last because I think you know who it's going to be if you guys have watched the show or really any show that I do, whether it's here or the Still Curtain or other things. I'll go with Jacob Rodriguez. We talked about him a little bit earlier. I do have a late first round grade on him, which is still higher than consensus, so I felt good about making him my guy. There's plenty of draft analysts, if you look around, that also have that grade on him as well. So I'm definitely not, the first guy to say this about this player by any means, but I do think that he's going to be probably at least from day one in the NFL the best linebacker in this class on day one because I do think Styles has some things that he still has to work on because he just hasn't played the position as much as even a guy like Rodriguez is newer to the position too to some degree because he's played other things in the college level, but he's a much more experienced player overall. And I think him playing even like a little bit of quarterback in his past has kind of helped him get a leg up on some of these other guys from an instinct standpoint, kind of knowing what offenses are trying to do to him, if coming from that offensive background he just gets to plays and makes plays that just a lot of other linebackers simply wouldn't be in position to make because of those instincts and the way he's able to move better than I think a lot of people expected on his tape, which I still kind of chalk up to the fact that he was really quick at diagnosing things. It wasn't always forced to just turn on the jets and run at full speed. But the few times he does have to do it, I do think that 40 time in the 4.5s that he ran at the combine does show up a little bit. Maybe still not as much of as good of a mover as his combine would suggest, but closer to that than maybe people thought originally. So he's definitely a guy that I'm excited to see where he ends up and how high he ends up getting picked.
yeah. I'm with you. I am not that high on him, but
Mm-hmm.
I do like him a lot as a player.
All right, let me throw out one of Jake's here then. So we just talked about a minute ago. Actually, so it's a good chance to talk about, him, especially if he might be on your list because I forget where you have him versus consensus, Dalton. But Taylor Green, quarterback out of Arkansas. We spent time talking about him already. Jake has him as one of my guys. I know he was a big fan of his. Um, Again, I kind of said my piece on Taylor Green as far as my
Yeah.
evaluation. So if you saw that early in the show, basically, I worry that he just might, frankly, not be an NFL quarterback and might need to look at switching positions, which I always hate to say about guys. Like, I want him to succeed as a quarterback if he can. Like, that is not me saying that he necessarily, I don't want him to even try or that he absolutely can't. I just don't see it personally. And so I hope that he can have a solid career at anything in the NFL, frankly. Like, that's just kind of my hope for him. But what do you think, Dalton?
Yeah, he didn't quite make my guys list just because while he is my QB3, like I do think he is like closer to the back end of day two. Like I would take
Right.
him probably closer to like I think he's gonna end up somewhere in like the 80s or 90s on my big board. So like I don't know if I'm taking him much higher. I mean, he's 148 on mock draft
Consensus,
database,
yeah.
so like that's not that's a little low, but I just didn't quite have him on my guys. But he's an honorable mention, my guy, I'd say.
I thought so, yeah. So I want to make sure that you got a chance to
Yeah.
talk about him too. But let's go to our next my guys here. I'll kick things off this time around. This one is interesting because I wanted to try at least get a couple guys that are a little bit lower ranked, especially one here. This is one of the first positions we tackled, and so like I think part of it is the fact that a lot of other guys have gotten ahead of this player, but also there's some guys that I still need to catch up on, and maybe I'll end up having this player a little bit lower than I currently have him. But Jaden Roberts, the guard out of Alabama, is 268 on the consensus board right now, and I have a fourth round grade on him. I think he is what he is. He is a power guard who's going to be a mauler in the run game, and as long as he can stay in front of guys a little bit better than he did at Alabama at times, but if he can work on that a little bit, I think the pass protection upside is there a little bit just because of the power profile. I think definitely bull rushers and power rushers are going to have a hard time with him. Some of the smaller, quicker interior rushers are probably going to be an issue for him. You're going to need to protect him a little bit if he has to play. But I think as a guy that you can draft and put in a gap system, especially that can just road grade for you in the run game, I don't see a reason why he couldn't go in the fourth, if not fifth round, but he's again 260 on the consensus board, so probably undrafted is what they're basically saying about him. That I don't think he's that bad by any means to be undrafted necessarily.
Yeah, I haven't watched a ton of him yet, but I mean, yeah, that feels low from what I have seen just from watching another Alabama offensive line. That feels a little low.
And he was at 1.157, or I think the highest he was 121 back in January. So I don't know if I don't think his testing was like egregiously bad or anything from what I remember. Maybe that's part of the problem, and I just didn't catch that or something. But he, if I'm not mistaken, 6'5", 333, by the way. So that's nice. Didn't do a lot of. I don't think he really did much testing, which I'm not surprised. It's 5'2", 640, which is not great, but it's also 333. Like again, he is what you expect him to be. There's no secret about the type of player that Jaden Roberts is. Like he's going to hit you in the mouth. He's going to be able to help you against power in the passing game. I think that it's at least again a guy that's worth taking on day 3. So
Yeah,
who would be your
I
next
like
my
that.
guy here?
For my next guy, this is a guy that's also way down the consensus board. He's 222 on the consensus board. He is 65 for me.
Ooh.
Was even higher. CJ Daniels, Miami wide receiver.
I'm like, I'm pretty sure that he's talking about CJ Daniels, but let me make sure. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I've even recently like gone back and rewatched him because I was like, what's everyone else seeing that I'm not? I did drop him down from like a second round grade to a early third round grade, but like I just don't get what I mean. I get 6th year senior, is probably the biggest knock, and I know didn't test great, but like the how smart of a receiver he is, the way he like just finds ways to make it work and get open, and then also like the way he maximizes his catch radius. And I just think this is a guy that probably made the mistake of not coming out when he was at Liberty.
Yeah.
I think he would have been for sure a late day 2 guy had he done that. Instead, he took a bag to go to LSU last year. Of course, the curse of Garrett Nussmeier took some money out of his pocket there. Then he tried again transferring to Miami this year. But, one, Miami was up in a lot of games. They had a good run game. They also have Malachi Toney. And, at the end of the day, Carson Beck's throwing the ball. It's not that much of an upgrade over Nussmeier. It's an upgrade for sure. But, like, I just think that situationally there were really high expectations for Daniels, and I don't think the production was that bad that, like, we need to, like, completely write him off.
Yeah.
And I just think you're getting a good – he's one of a couple of guys that I think kind of like Surratt, who I'm hiring on as well, but not quite a my guy, fits that power slot role.
Yeah.
I think he can align a lot of ways, but I think ultimately he's going to be a great power slot, especially the way he blocks like an animal.
Yeah, like I just have a hard time watching him. Like I have an early day 3 grade on him, so he'll be in the probably hundreds, like somewhere in the top 115, 120 players for me. So that's still 200 spots higher than consensus. Like, and I don't think he's a my guy by any means, but he's exactly. So like that, he's a good player. I think the upside is limited with him, obviously, with him being an older player and not the most athletic guy in the world, but there's guys out there in the NFL right now that have his profile outside of maybe the age thing, because that's a newer thing recently that we've seen. But outside of that, like guys who are receiver 4s for teams all over the place that look and play like this guy. Like, and he could be more than that potentially, right? If a team values what he brings, because you said the run blocking is obviously a plus with him, which for a lot of teams, like if you're going to play ever as the receiver 4, like an actual role, you have to do it because of that. Like you look at teams like the Seahawks with like a Jake Bobo type, or things of that nature.
Yeah.
You need to have that as part of your skill set because that gets you on the field. Because maybe a team's wide receiver 1, maybe they don't want to block or they can't block or whatever, and they need to get you on the field just to help them with that sometimes, or whatever the situation may be. That'll get you on there.
For screens.
Whatever, right? That's a valuable skill set, especially whenever you are like not a 0 by any means as a receiver. Like he can play receiver, but having that element of his game does help him. And I just don't see a team not drafting him until the 7th round. Like I don't think that's going to happen, frankly. It may be a 5th round pick at worst, but even then I'm like, I don't know, man. Like once you get past like the top 100 players in this class, I kind of feel like it's just a grab bag of guys for the most part. So why he wouldn't go at some point, I'm not sure. Another my guy for Jake here. I'll talk about, since we're keeping it with we'll keep it with receivers here. I'll throw this name out because I don't think either of us have watched him. I don't know, frankly, if I will. No offense to Jake here. Daniel Sobkowitz out of Illinois State, FCS. I don't even know. He might be on the consensus board. I didn't check before I decided to talk about him. I might check right now just in case, because it does go pretty far.
I'm looking. Jake loves, if you guys don't know by now, Jake loves his FCS.
He does love his FCS guys. I don't think he's on the consensus board, which goes to 5. I think it goes to 709.
709
at receiver at least. Yeah, I don't see him here unless I'm missing him. So yeah, this is you could call this a sleeper, if
Hold on, sorry, one second. Antonio Gates' kid is in this draft class from Delaware State.
Yes, I do believe so.
As a wide receiver. Didn't know that was the thing.
The fact that you don't know means, unfortunately, he can't be that good, which sucks, but it happens sometimes. Not all the former players' kids can be good. But no, yeah. So again, not on the consensus board, not someone who's going to get drafted, I don't think, at least. But from what I remember Jake talking about, he is very much you saw his last name. This is a white man playing receiver in the FCS. That's what's going to happen. Like think of that, picture that for a second. But he catches like 20 touchdowns or something like that. That's what he is. That's awesome. Like good for him. Will he probably end up in like the UFL or the CFL? Maybe. But super productive player. I do know that about him. The testing was predictably apparently not very good, at least from a speed perspective. I think he ran a 4.6 something. Not a small guy though either. So like I think he was 6'2" or so roughly. I might be wrong about that.
6'3", 205.
Yeah. So like he doesn't have to be fast. That's like you can be other things, a receiver. But yeah, I don't know exactly. I don't remember where Jake said he has him on his board. I think he was a pretty deep sleeper for even him. So we'll see where we can ask him maybe when we do our big boards if he's not on there. But yeah, I wanted to shout him out because I know we weren't going to talk about him otherwise.
Yeah, ran a 4.6 40. He's actually listed at 6'2", 193.
That's not as fun.
Measuring in his pro day, yeah.
But hey, Cooper Kupp once ran a 4.6, and he was definitely faster than that. Not saying he's going to be Cooper Kupp, but also lower level competition. Maybe he's there's other things about him that are similar too that I already mentioned earlier. But hey, I don't know. But yeah, I wanted to make sure we get to him here for a second. Who's your next guy here?
So I'll keep us on the wide receiver.
Okay, I can
train.
too next time. Yeah.
Real quick. Another guy that is way down. He's 297 on the consensus board.
Oh yeah.
And I have him. I don't actually have him on my big board yet. I haven't gotten that far down yet, but he is my wide receiver 20. I have a 4th round grade on him, Aaron Anderson from LSU. So another guy that Garrett Nussmeier is just taking money out of his pocket. Because there's
Garrett Nussmeier's family shouldn't watch this podcast, by the way. So if you do happen upon it, don't watch anymore of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Athletic testing raises a lot of red flags, especially for guys 5'8", 191.
Which the 191 weight's actually kind of encouraging. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. And also going to be 24 as a rookie. But the tape checks out. Kind of reminds me of who's the guy from Oregon last year? That
Tez
was
Johnson.
Really Tez Johnson had,
lighter but taller,
different.
so it's different build, but the same. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And not quite, and like the 40 time was a little bit better for him, but compared to Anderson, but it was still not what he was expecting to run in any way, shape, or form.
4.51 at like 160 pounds or something like that, maybe less than that.
Yeah, so a little bit different, but the tape still checks out. Like for Anderson, the releases are incredible, and the speed, the acceleration on tape is just really impressive, and there's just so much explosive potential. And like, dude just gets open. He got open. There were so many plays in college where he is just wide ass open, and then of course Garrett Nussmeier is just doing something else other than throwing him the ball.
Yeah,
like that's the only way to explain it. He's not throwing it to somebody else. He's running around. He's throwing the ball away. He's getting sacked. He's fumbling the ball. He's just doing something dumb instead of throwing the ball to Aaron Anderson.
Yeah.
And for that reason, Aaron Anderson's going to be lucky to get drafted, and he should be an early day 3 pick, if not a late day 2 pick.
Yeah, if I had to guess, the 40 time, like I just don't think he's that slow. I don't think he's necessarily like a burner, but he moves way better than you would think from his measurements and what he did, especially the vertical and broad jump like that. 5th percentile, 8th percentile, like I don't know, but I think ultimately with him, I ended up moving him down because I actually have now a closer grade to you. I didn't put him on my guys list just because I did just recently drop him, but I did still move him down a little bit because of the testing, because it is just a red flag. But yeah, in film, like this is a traditional like slot receiver type, like not so much the guys we see playing the slot a lot now, but if you're still an offense that values that traditional like jitterbug like slot receiver type, this is your guy. Like you will definitely be interested in him. And again, in the 4th round, I'd be willing to give it a shot. Even if you want to wait till the 5th or 6th, like he's not a guy who should be going undrafted. Let me put it that way. I don't think so. So
yeah. he blocks too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think injuries were the concern for him. Also,
Yeah,
forgot to
I
mention
think
that.
so too. Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, once you're in day 3, ceiling is all that matters. Once you get to day 3,
Yeah.
and the ceiling on him, I think, is pretty high.
Yeah, only 1,300 yards in 27 career games. Like again, but a lot of that, like, I mean, playing receiver for Garrett Nussmeier, especially last year, is just it's not going to get you where you want to go. Let me put it that way. Like I just I don't think that that's the case. So, but hey, some games that he had some really good games against Texas A&M. He had 126 yards and touchdown, 24, 72 yards and touchdown against Florida that same year. It's a big games in 2024 in particular that I think, like, if you go back and watch him, then you get a little bit more of what he has going on. But definitely a good player to talk about. We'll keep it with receiver for me. And I debated if I should put this player on my list or not. And I actually ultimately didn't, but I want to talk about him because it's one of Jake's guys. Casey Concepcion is one of Jake's my guys, and I left him off mine because consensus is closer to where I'm at with him now than it was when I first did the list and when we first did receivers. But definitely a guy worth talking about because right now he was receiver 2 for me. I have decided to just give Lemon a slight edge because I think there's a higher chance that he's a really successful pro right away and can stick around for longer. But that's really the only thing edging him above him slightly. He's still in the same range for me. Like, I'd be okay with drafting those two at the same time, roughly, in the draft. He's just so explosive, and the movement skills just jump off the page with him. It's very easy to tell right away that he is one of the best athletes on the field every time he's out there. And I think some of the underlying metrics, I know a lot of people will point to certain things and say, like, oh, he was late breakout kind of, and like he was kind of a design touch guy at NC State before he got to Texas A&M and all this stuff. And I'm like, I get it, but you watch him, especially this past year, Texas A&M, and like that just looks like a guy who's going to give NFL defensive backs issues. He just does. And I've been comping him to Emmanuel Sanders for those who are Steelers fans, really more so Broncos fans, I guess, because he didn't break out till he was with the Broncos. That is not a light comp. Like, that guy at one point was putting up, back to back to back, like 1,300 yard seasons for the Broncos. Like, if Concepcion can be that player, so totally worth taking in the top 20-ish of this class, if not even a little bit higher. So I just want to talk about him since Jake had him on there as well.
I like that.
And then I think my next guy then, because that was not one of my actual guys. I will throw out of these three. Let's talk about Cole Payton for a second. We've already had Taylor Green conversation. I will throw Cole Payton in the mix here. And honestly, at one point when I was going through the list, I was like, do I even want to put a quarterback on either list? Because it's kind of like all of them are kind of not that great anyway, regardless, even if like I like Cole Payton so much. He's not that much lower on the consensus. Like, he's probably actually going to be right around the same spot on my board, the consensus board at 110. But I think if you had to ask me which of these technically, like, we'll say late day 2, but really day 3 flyers, a quarterback, would you take? For me, it would be Payton, because I think he has the best combination of talent and having enough shown on the field, even though it was in a very weak conference in a system that didn't ask him to do a ton of things. He doesn't have a lot of bad habits yet because he hasn't played a ton. And I think the right coaching staff, if they get a hold of him with the physical gifts that he has, could develop him into at least like a high-end backup, if not potentially useful, like spot starter type of guy down the road. So ultimately, that's why I'm going to go with him as my like favorite kind of day 3 quarterback option.
Yeah. I think if that's where you're looking for, I get it. There was a lot of talk of him being you drafting him as a developmental starting quarterback,
and like great if that happens, but I don't think you can bank on that with his profile. Like, that's shooting for the stars with him for sure.
Yeah, I'll be honest, he was almost one of my
guys.
I
get it, because the consensus is now like at 110. Like, before it was like I think at the lowest for him, it was at one point down like in January, like 352.
Yeah.
And then it jumped back up to like in the 160s, and it's only risen since then. So like at this point, having him as not my guy, if you're not happy with him as like a 4th round pick, would make sense. But he's still
I have a 6th round grade on him.
So that one's tough.
but not the helmet scout, but it is just worth noting, like with these North Dakota State guys, the most successful quarterback to come out of North Dakota State right now, like the best one out of all these like pretty highly touted prospects that have come out of there. You know, even like Cam Miller got some like hype last year, some like day 3 hype.
Current Miami Dolphins.
But yeah. But all these guys, Carson Wentz has still been the most successful of these guys.
Which, hey, I mean, Carson Wentz almost won an MVP, Dalton. Maybe you never know. Maybe a couple things go his way. Maybe he isn't apparently a jackass and not pay attention to coaching, which is apparently part of his problem. Maybe he'd still be a starting quarterback today. Hey, he started games last year. It wasn't good.
Yeah,
but he did. So yeah, I get it. I do. Like, and I have no illusions that this guy is gonna like definitely be a starting quarterback like 3 years from now. I don't necessarily believe that. I think if you ask me to pick one of those types of guys, especially like the ones with the traits at the back end of the draft that I think have a chance, he would be the guy that I'd bet on being able to do that over some of the other guys. But it's still not like, I'm not like, oh, he's definitely gonna be a star. It's like, in a top 10% outcome of Cole Payton, you might get a good starter for a little while. Like that's kind of where I view him at this point.
Yeah.
So that's I think that's totally fine. But yeah, who's your next guy then here for my guys?
So my next guy, I'll save one of them. I think we have the same guy, so I'll save him for you. Because I know you're higher on him.
Oh, okay. So he is okay. I know where you're going with that. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm much higher than consensus on
still,
him.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But yeah. My guy is Jonah Coleman.
Which, real quick, one of Jake's my guys as well. So that's another tick for him. So we're good there. Yeah.
So I'll let him. So I'll talk about him briefly and let you guys talk about him then. Because then that can free me up for some other ones if that's one of his guys.
It is, yeah.
But since Jake's not here, I can talk about him for him a little bit.
You guys were pretty similar on him, I'm pretty sure. So
yeah, it's funny going in. I thought I was low on him because I was seeing like early like fringe first round talk on him.
That was always
like
wild.
Yeah, that was wild. Now, I mean, but I'd still take him late second.
Yeah,
he is on my board right now. He is 52 on my board, 99 on the consensus. So yeah, I'm still much higher than the consensus on him. And I mean, it doesn't look great. He kind of makes you want to vomit a little bit when you watch him play football.
Not a great start.
Not
a great start.
But he's just productive. Yes. He's productive as hell. It works. He makes people miss. He forces missed tackles. And if there's anything that like actually separates a back at the next level, it's forced missed tackle rate. And he just does it. He does it at such a high clip. And he's just very, very shifty. On top of being a really good pass catcher, good enough in pass protection where at the end, like, has a really high football IQ, going to have, I think, a very long career at worst as a third down back in the NFL. And he's kind of one of those weird, like, chunkier third down backs. He's one of those types where it's not like he's not your third down back because he's going to make a bunch of explosive plays in the pass game. He's going to slip in. He's just going to he's going to pass protect really well, and he's going to slip open occasionally when you need him and make a big play for a first down.
He's Samaje Perine. That was my comp for him most recently. Samaje Perine, like Samaje Perine.
Oh yeah,
like
who is still
he's still hanging around doing stuff for people. Like he's and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I have him closer to consensus. Like I'll probably be slightly higher. He'll probably be slightly higher on my board than consensus has him, but probably still 80s, like maybe early 90s. I do just worry about the upside with him a little bit. Like I usually don't care too much about like the measurements and athletic measurements, especially for running backs, if I think the tape shows that they win despite those things or not in the ways that you would expect them to win if they're an athlete. It's why like he could have been not my guy, but I didn't even want to do it to you because it's kind of mean at this point. Like Nick Singleton is not a running back that I am a fan of, right?
Yeah.
He has all the athletic gifts in the world. He has given me no reason to think that he can rush the ball at the NFL level at a high clip. I just don't think he can do it. Now, as a third down back in a completely different way, he's the one that if you're looking for the explosive back or the guy to get you explosives in the passing game, that's who you'd want to draft. But Coleman is going to be a guy that I think you can give carries to because he's a smart player, like you talked about, tough, will get you tough yards. Not nearly as big as this player overall, but kind of in the same mold as the Packers running back. For a while there. AJ Dillon, not as big as this player, but it's in the same mold of like going to get you some tough yards in the run game at worst.
But way better vision.
Right. Like, but in the same way, he's not going to be an explosive ball carrier, but he's going to get you what's blocked. He's going to be able to create some plays with his vision, like you said, and ability to make guys miss despite not being the most dynamic athlete. Like, that's a player that's useful to an NFL team.
I do think if you're looking to comp a possible like lofty like ceiling for him, I do think the ceiling it's lofty, but I think attainable is like a Maurice Jones-Drew. Like legitimately.
The only problem with Jones-Drew comp, because I thought about that too, because of the size, is I think Jones-Drew was so much more explosive than him. Like as like
that's
the juice as a
I
runner.
Do think like
thing. Yeah.
I don't think the acceleration is quite there. He just takes a little bit. Like that's the problem. Like the long speed, the top speed's all right, but it does take him a little bit to get up to speed. And that's why I think he might be limited to more of a committee leader at the next level. But I mean, the patience that he runs with, he
feels
awesome.
like a guy that because I don't think he's necessarily this player by any means. I think they're pretty different. But this feels like a back the Rams would draft in like the 5th round or something if he lasted that long, and just he'd be good because they have 3 of them on the roster right now that all play like him. Like I mean, like, I just feel like he would probably end up that type of player. But yeah, I think again he's a good player. I wouldn't be surprised if he is a really successful pro for a good while. But let me go to this is a guy that I don't remember if I was the highest on him or if Jake was also pretty high on him because he's not on his list here. But another my guy, D'Angelo Pons, the corner out of Indiana. I mean, it's again, if he was, people have said this 50 times this cycle, so it's whatever. If he was 3 inches taller and like 8 pounds heavier, he'd be probably corner 1 for me. Like, despite as good as those other guys are, like he plays corner about as well as someone his size possibly could, especially as an outside corner. And again, you could talk about the slot stuff with him. Is he going to have to move inside to the slot? Blah, 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 whatever. If you want to try that, I'm sure he'll be good because he's really good. But I think he is a true still outside corner, not a press man corner, obviously. Like, doesn't really have the measurables for that. Although he competes his ass off like he does with everything. I wouldn't be surprised if he could do it to some receivers, right? Mess with them at the line. But in press bail even, or just off man zone, like all those things, he's going to be really, really good at right away, I think. And he tested like the athlete he needs to be to play at that size in the NFL. Everything kind of just as the boxes kept getting checked, it kept getting harder for me not to just grade him as a fringe first round player, despite his size. And that's where I'm at with him right now. And with the consensus board, it's not that far off, I don't think, at this point. 55 is still close. Yeah, I mean, he's pushing end of second round for them. I'd be willing to take him in the 30s somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not too far off from you guys. I have him. He's 30 on my big board.
Right. So again, we're kind of lockstep with Jake because I know Jake and liked him a good bit too, I think. But it's really easy to like D'Angelo Pons. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, free.
He is the working man's corner.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, but is there one more you got for your my guys left, or is you
Logan Jones? I'll shout him out.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
Logan Jones. I think is my top center.
You're not alone on that. I've seen that a couple times recently.
Yeah,
by the way. So
I like him. I think also like part of it is I do think that unlike most of the centers, he does have a little bit of guard versatility, just because of his frame. But I just think the upside on him is so high because he's a recent convert from defensive line. So he's definitely still figuring out the position and already playing the most heady position on the offensive line, center, which is kind of incredible. And then playing it well. Like, I'll tell you what, you can tell he's a former defensive lineman because of how violent his hands are on that stab when he goes to help off the snap. So, like, if he has somebody on his off shoulder, it's snap and just a violent, just starching a dude, which is going to really help his guards a lot wherever he ends up. I just think there's a lot of potential for him to possibly become like a really high level center. And I mean, I'm not like, he's my IOL 4. I have a late second round grade on him, but the consensus is just way too low. It's like 101.
101. Yeah.
So like that's a fringe day 2 guy, and I just don't see how he makes it much further out of the top 50.
I think the thing that and this is the case with multiple players in this class, is not alone here. I think what hurts him is that he's 25, or he's going to be at least. And like, then again, like an offensive line, like I don't know how much I care about that. Those guys can play a long time if they're good. And with Jones, I did get around to watching more of him because I didn't get to whenever we did our initial offensive line show, because I think he was even lower on the consensus board at that time when we were doing that. I watched him a little bit. He ended up being at the time my number 10 guy, but I didn't watch as much of him as the other guys that I ranked. I do think he should go sometime on day 2. Maybe not as high. I don't think I'll be as high on him as you. I think I have more of like a true like mid to late 3rd grade on him, but he should be one of the first, I would say, 3 centers drafted at least. And is a guy that might have more potential to him, like you talked about, than a 25-year-old would normally have because of the convert from the defensive line. So that obviously plays into it a little bit too.
And the age thing, I think it's just, you got to really I think we're just in a new era where with the age, you got to look at like the path. And because there's some not my guys on my list that, part of their age is an issue for me, but it's very different of why the age is an issue. And I think that's going to be something that like teams are going to have to figure out, because in the NIL era and the era where eligibility is a myth, and guys are choosing between
at Trinidad Chambliss.
Yeah. And guys are choosing between being a 2nd round pick and going and getting 10 million or 5 million to play in the SEC for another year, for a 5th or 6th year. Like, that's what they're going to do. They're going to go get a bag and be millionaires on giant, nice college campuses, because why wouldn't you do that?
Exactly. I do think for this class in particular, and probably for the next couple classes until if they decide to try to do something about the eligibility aspect of this whole thing, especially, I think you just have to get comfortable with the fact that some of the better players in the class on film are going to be guys that don't have all the measurables that you always want, or don't have the age that you want them to have, right? And does that mean you still knock them down a peg for it a little bit? Maybe a little bit, but I think it just depends, because we're talking about a 2nd at best, but probably likely 3rd round player here, right? Him being 25 probably shouldn't matter a ton to you, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit different conversation, even though I like this player. Akeem Mesidor, for example, from Miami. It's different with him in the sense that, like, if you're using a 1st round pick on him, it's a little bit of a just factor that you have to play with. But even then, like, if you think he's good enough to be a 1st round pick, then you probably should just take him in a class like this. So, well, that's definitely something that's going to have to be talked about for sure for a long time in this class, especially. I want to get Jake's last my guy off the board here, and then I'll talk about mine, who I think will also be yours, one of your last guy potentially.
Yeah.
He has, speaking of the position we're going to be talking about in a minute, Maxie Honisher, the right tackle from Arizona State, who's gotten a ton of hype. And I'll be honest with you, when I factor in some of the stuff that I didn't think of as much, I still don't have him as high as the consensus has him, but I have him closer to where he's at consensus-wise now than I did on first watch, because some of the stuff he did do well with his experience level playing football, and the way he moves, frankly, it's hard to ignore the upside there. But I think if I was grading him purely on his film grade from last year, he's more of a day 2 player. When you factor everything else in, I would understand a team, especially at the very end of the first round or early second round, taking a chance on him.
Yeah, I have a late first on him. He's 27 on my big board. Consensus is 36, so that's kind of why I didn't include him, but I'm also pretty high on him.
Yeah, like I won't be shocked if he ends up going as high as like late teens, early 20s, frankly, at this point. Just from the upside alone. And because I think he's one of those guys that, as much as he might benefit from getting a chance to sit for a minute, he's not so raw right now that you can't just go play him, frankly. Like if he's the best guy you have. Yeah. So I think that kind of makes it easier for you.
He's this year's Ariante Ursary.
Fair enough. I didn't like Ursary as much as I like Ihonshire, but I think it's because I really love the movement skills with Ihonshire, but it's the same thing of like a raw tackle that maybe won't be a great year 1 pro, but you hope will develop into a great second, third, which we'll see with Ursary, because it seems like he's going to get every chance to stick there at left tackle, which is probably what they need to do with the Texans for sure. But our last guy for my guys, before we get into not my guys, I believe is Markel Bell, the tackle out of Miami. Now, I'll let Dalton start here because he did inform me that he finally watched this player, because I have some things to say about this player. They're going to be a little bit more, I don't want to say hot takey, because I do believe this. I'm not saying it just for clicks or something, but I think he's going to be a little bit closer to the people that are still higher on him than consensus, but not as high as maybe I have him. So Dalton, you kick us off with.
So I have a third round grade and he's my tackle 8.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm seeing him way down. I just don't get it.
120 right now.
120, yeah. Don't really get that. I mean, he's just gigantic. I mean, and moves well enough. I mean, and the production that like this year's, this is incredible. Had 558 pass block snaps in 2025.
Yeah.
14 hurries, which is like nothing. 1 hit and 0 sacks on 558 pass block snaps. Just absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And like now the hand placement is probably my biggest concern, and I kind of get like why that's an issue. I do think he's gonna need some time. But I mean, he's very patient. He gets into his set, lets guys come to him, and then uses his length. And he's just going to be a problem to get around. I mean, a guy like this, you take in the third round because there's a chance he's an all-pro someday. And at worst, he is a swing tackle from day 1. And probably going to be at least replacement level starter relatively quickly.
Yeah, at the end of the day for me, so he's going to be somewhere in the late 30s, early 40s for me on my board, which is a huge difference from the consensus, like about as big as you probably see from any of our lists, especially for a player that I think is going to be someone you could take in the early second round, for example, basically. He, to me, is a classic case of when being that big does actually matter, because I think there's a lot of times in NFL where a guy can be really big and imposing, but either doesn't play like it or doesn't use it to his advantage at all. And that's whenever those guys tend to struggle, is when they play like that. This is a guy who knows and understands that he is 6'9", 350 pounds roughly, and has length for days. I'm talking damn near 37-inch arm length. He uses it to his benefit. Like, he understands, like, I can basically give myself an incredibly high floor as a pass protector by just leaning into my strengths, understanding, like, if I can let this pass rush come to me and make them try to get into my chest, as long as I'm patient with it, they're probably going to, by the time, even if they do beat me on this rep, the ball's gone. Like, there's just, in most offenses, especially, I like him as a potential option for the Steelers on really the end of day 2, because I think he'll last till then. It gives guys who have a high, or I should say a low time to throw, it will be so hard to actually pressure the quarterback on plays like that, which make up a ton of NFL plays at this point, with this guy left tackle. Like, it just will be hard to do so. And I think there's a chance he could be like an Orlando Brown level player, or Orlando Brown Jr. level player. even if I'm not the biggest fan of that guy overall, and I think he may have been overpaid at different times, you've never had a team say like, oh well, we can't play Orlando Brown Jr. this week. Like he can't pass protect. He will protect the blind side for you very well because of his frame and his length. That's the same thing with Markel Bell. Like he gives you a floor at tackle that a lot of guys don't have because they don't have measurables like this.
Yeah.
So I was really excited that other people seemed to like him a little bit. I think even Dane has him somewhere in like the 3rd, 4th round range as well, which is still higher than a lot of the consensus has shown. Duke Manyweather, I sent this in our chat the other day. I was like, I am vindicated because if you don't know, Duke Manyweather, one of the most well known like offensive line coaches, minds, like developers of offensive line talent. He was talking. I think someone put out a top 10 offensive tackle list, and he was basically saying about like, oh, no Markel Bell. What doesn't he do well? And I'm like, exactly, Duke. You know better than I certainly know, but it makes me feel better that a guy like him likes him. But yeah, he's definitely my guy by a mile in terms of like the difference of consensus. So,
all right. Should we move over to our not my guys?
Yep, let's jump over there. We won't spend as much time on these guys because I don't want to spend 30 minutes just absolutely ripping on players. That's not really what I'm about. But so I'm going to go through Jake's list overall real quick and see if we have any of the same players. And then if we do, we can talk about those players. So Jake's list, Drew Aller at quarterback. I don't have him on my list because I think that consensus is still relatively low on him right at this point.
Yeah, consensus is relatively low, but I mean, he is a guy where I think the problem is who knows where he's going to go. Like
I have no clue.
Like he could go 200. He could go 40.
He could.
Like legitimately.
That's the thing with quarterbacks is it only takes one.
Yeah.
It takes one team to decide that guy is someone they just have to have, and they don't care if they have to take him with a 2nd round pick. And sometimes that gets you Tyler Shuck, who I thought was a better prospect than Aller anyway. But other times it gets you Christian Hackenberg, which unfortunately is the same school situation, which doesn't probably make people feel great. But yeah, I didn't have Aller, so I'm not my guys because I don't really. I kind of just don't want to talk about him anymore because he upsets me, frankly. For someone who had to cover Penn State and this is when he was at his best, when I covered him in 2024, I still didn't like watching him every week because I knew he was going to do some bullshit at some point. He's going to throw a pass that makes no sense. It's going to go nowhere. It looked like he was going to go, and I was going to be like, Drew, why? You have all this arm talent, and you move pretty well for someone your size. Like, just throw the ball accurately, please. And then he just didn't do it a lot of the time.
Prototypical physical tools, but Penn State might have broken him.
Unfortunately, folks.
Yeah. That's just kind of the way it is.
If Drew Aller played for Ohio State, he'd probably be a 1st round pick.
Yeah.
Because he would have looked better than he did. Some of the flaws would have been masked, and maybe he still would have been the same player at the NFL level ultimately. It wouldn't have worked out or whatever. Maybe it will work, who knows, but he would have been ranked higher probably.
And it would have been 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, at least last year. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. That one's tough. Do you have this guy's definitely on my list here. Keldrick Falk is on Jake's list. He's certainly he's certainly on my list. Yeah.
He's closer to my guy for me.
I know. That's what I thought. I don't know where Jake has him on his list. I know for me, he's gonna be in the 50s somewhere on my board, I think. If I had to guess, just based on the round value outs, because I decided I'm grading him as like what I think he could possibly become as an edge, because that's where it seems like he wants to play and where his body type is leaning. And because of that, I could not rank him any higher than I do. So I also have him as not my guy, especially consensus right now. He is
20.
Yeah, I just simply can't do that. If he's going to be an edge player. Now, if you told me he was going to bulk up and play interior defensive line, might be closer to consensus on him. I'd feel better about that opportunity for him. Because he's not going that direction, I did have to make him a not my guy.
I get that. I just think he's so young and has so many physical gifts that if he figures it out as a pass rusher, he's going to be a freak. Because the thing about him that I think is so crucial with edges And because I do think he's more of he's a D. I think he's a 4-3 D end
Yeah,
rather
so
than
if he's gonna be
linebacker.
an actual edge, he has to be that prototype of edge. For
I agree.
Sure.
And the thing about it is, he's fantastic against the run.
Oh, for sure.
And that's the thing that I think makes it so that like his floor is so high, in my opinion, is that like his physical tools will get him sacks regardless. And he's so young. I think you got to really look at the ceiling. But I mean, I get like being worried about, whether or not he's going to put it together. I get it.
My thing is that, like, especially compared to his testing numbers, which again, he probably weighed a good bit less than he did at Auburn when he did this. So maybe this will show up more when we see him in the preseason and early in his career. But I did not see the get off at all with him as a pass rusher. Like, I just didn't see it as a player at Auburn. He is a powerful player, but he's really physical and powerful against the run. Does not show up as a pass rusher with the power.
Yeah, he doesn't
right now.
Figuring out
like he just
too much.
Yeah, he just doesn't play with that. And like, I understand he's young and there's a lot of potential with him, but I still think if you want this player to work out, especially given what he's already good at, I think if he would be 295 pounds and like a 3-4 end, that would be just something I'd feel better about, because I think the floor would be higher then for him, where he doesn't have to be as explosive as a pass rusher to be effective there. Now with him moving to like really being a true edge, it seems like he probably has to keep losing weight, in my opinion. Probably get into the 260s if he wants to have the get off required to actually threaten the edge, unless that power profile starts to come through, which if he's losing weight, will it? That's it's like this weird balance of like, you lose some here, but you gain some here, but do you gain enough here to not? It's a weird thing with him. And I just personally, he's one of those guys where, like, if a team took him in the 20s or 30s, I would say I get it, but I would let someone else draft him, is kind of where I'm at with him. Sure. I think is the biggest thing. Despite not having him, like, I'm not saying he's undraftable. I just don't know if I would be the want to be the team to draft him high. So and I think Jake kind of felt similarly about that. And this is another player that is on my list that Jake had, Zachariah Branch, the wide receiver out of Georgia. I just worry that he is what he is, and that doesn't have a ton of value at the NFL.
Correct.
Yeah. And that him being when I say that, he is a gadget player primarily. This is a guy with a 3.6 ADOT this past year. Average up the target, for those who don't know what I'm talking about. 3.6. That's not very good. I don't know what else to tell you. It's hard. He's really explosive. I don't think he's completely useless as like an actual receiver. But the fact that Georgia used him the way that they did, and it's something with Georgia, man. I get it. It's not their job to make these guys easy to evaluate, but they really make it hard to evaluate everyone that plays for them. They really do. And he's a really good example of that. I have no idea ultimately what to do with him. I think he's going to be like somewhere in the 130s ish or so for me. In consensus, I think he's 70 something.
He's 60. I think he's 63.
Oh yeah, I just can't. Yeah, I just can't get there. Like, I don't know what I have no idea what he's gonna be. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah. I have him in the 80s just because I think like he's good enough of an athlete where you can be like, all right, do something. Like you can make stuff up.
But that's the fact that we have to do that. You're talking about a player that might get drafted according to consensus in the second round.
Yeah.
And I don't know what his role is going to be, because it can't be the same thing. There's no way an NFL team can operate that way, right? At least not on a volume role. Like, you could do some of the same things that he did at Georgia, but it can't be the entire. I think over half of his catches were screens.
Yeah.
You can't
be a really good return guy, I think.
Yeah, the return value helps him. That's why I don't think he should not be drafted at all by any means. But I probably wouldn't feel good about it until day 3. I just wouldn't, because I don't know what he's going to be offensively.
Fair.
But anything you want to add to him?
No.
I think, did you see enough? Because there just wasn't a lot of it, right? Like, I tried to go find more examples of it compared to the games I watched. I don't know what I would even say like his best usage as a true receiver would be. outside of the gadget stuff?
I mean, I think he is a true slot.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
think
his size too makes you kind of feel that way too. But
and I think the other thing is that you can use him like you said, the gadget, like the run game ability is something nice to have. And I think also, like, if I remember correctly, he lined up outside here and there too at Georgia.
I'm
Like,
sure he
not
did.
that
But how much of that do you think was him ending up just like turning around and catching a pass from the outside? Though I wonder. I don't obviously have the numbers on that, but like, because as a true outside receiver, I can't imagine he had a ton of success doing that. But
I just
maybe
think he's a guy that at the end of the day, it's the after the catch ability that you're hoping that like you can in your scheme get him some opportunities after the catch to make people miss and get you yards. Because he's been productive. I think that's the big thing. Like you're just banking on that production carrying over.
Right. And 44 screen catches, by the way.
Yeah.
Is what it was. He was 512th in average depth of target in college football. 512, folks.
But
that's just
still
tough.
Average 10 yards per reception.
Oh, the yards after catch ability and like that's all there. Like I understand why you would use a player like this at the college level. I just don't know what it means. Like how am I supposed to work with that though? You know what I mean? Yeah. Isn't it from an evaluation standpoint? I simply just don't know.
Yeah. Caught 80 balls last year
at
10 yards of catch. Like that's the thing. I think if you can get anywhere close to that at the next level,
sure, you take that. You easily take that. But again, when 44 of those 81 catches were screens, you just can't do that in the NFL. You're not going to get the level of production that you got on those the next level because everyone is maybe not as explosive as him out there, but they're not far off.
You know where it sounds like he needs to go? He needs to be on last year's Steelers team.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, because he could just be Jonnu Smith, who somehow had maybe still higher average off the target than him, even though he caught like 50 balls behind the line of scrimmage. It felt like, he'd be great for Aaron Rodgers because he would just turn around and catch the ball from like a slot alignment, and he would just immediately throw a flat route to him the second the ball is snapped, and then he would get 4 yards probably instead of 10 because it's the NFL, and then it would be a run play basically.
Yeah.
So maybe if we could go back in time. It's not, it could be worse. I mean, I think Jonnu Smith averaged like 4 yards per reception or something, which is, by the way, impossible to do, but he did it. If we can go back in time and put him on the Steelers last year, he'd probably be productive. But almost any other offense ever in the history of the sport, no. He's going to have to be used differently is what I'm saying, and we'll see if he can do it. So another guy for Jake here. He's hurting my soul a little bit. We already talked about this player good, but he had Cole Payton. He's not my guy. Killing me after putting Taylor Green as my guy. Basically the opposite of me there. But we talked about him already. Demetrius Crownover, the Texas A&M offensive tackle. I remember having I think it was at the time, he was tackle 10 for me as a 4th round pick, but he's been passed by some other guys I've watched. So I'm not a big fan of him, but I kind of understand the size and people think there's some upside there. But he's a tough sell because his tape was just not very good this past year.
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of cooled off on him. So he was an interior offensive lineman.
Is that what he's listed at? Because I know he's an offensive tackle at Texas A&M.
He's gonna play. You said defensive tackle?
Demetrius Crownover.
Offensive tackle. I'm thinking of Armand Adams.
Oh yeah, he's the guy. Actually, I don't dislike him that much either. By the way,
Crownover, is he an edge then?
He's an offensive tackle.
Oh, offensive tackle.
Yeah, he's the. Yeah. No, he's 96 on the consensus.
Oh yeah, 9. Oh wow, yeah, that's right. Yeah, now I'm remembering Crownover. Yeah, I watched him and I wrote him off very quickly.
The tape isn't very good. It's all physical traits with him that people are banking on. And even then, I gave him the benefit of the doubt by having him as a 4th round pick. with the way the other tackles I've watched have kind of crept over him, he's probably more like a day 3 flyer.
Yeah, I have a 6th round grade on him because, I mean,
he's a guy that the Eagles take in the 6th round, and he hangs around for 8 years, and then he doesn't do anything probably.
Yeah, but I mean, he might not be a reliable starter until like year 3, and it's like, what do you do with that?
And that's if he is one, right? Like that's the thing. So I still have 3 names that haven't been brought up as not my guys. Did any of Jake's not my guys land on yours?
Well, Crownover probably would have, but
okay.
I didn't realize he was 96 in the consensus.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, he has some fans. He has some fans.
Yeah, but now mine will be quick when we get to them.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, we'll start with yours. I have 3 names still to bring up, so give me your first one.
So I have a few offensive. Actually, I'll do one. Now I'll say that one.
Okay.
Blake Miller is my first one here.
Yeah. Okay.
I just can't get into this like fringe first round hype on him. Gotcha. I have a 3rd round grade on him. Mm-hmm. I just think the ceiling's really low. Skinny legs, kind of grabby, below average foot speed, and like the hand place or the pad levels kind of rough at his height. And I just think that he needs to put on some weight is the biggest thing. And I just think I think there's potential for him to be a solid starter. I just don't see it being for a couple years down the road. And I just think, like, are you really taking a developmental tackle at what is he consensus right now? 25.
You're 25, yeah.
25, like that's just insane to me. I just can't abide it.
I do understand where you're coming from. I liked him more on initial watch than you did, and also the testing kind of threw people for a loop, I think, because he tested as like a true like elite athlete at the combine, which I don't know if I necessarily see that on him. I think when he's run blocking, I think you see it more, the movement skills as a pass protector. I think with him, I would say the number one concern I had with him is I don't know how well he's going to handle power at the next level.
Yes, absolutely.
And I don't know how much better that gets because this is a guy who started 54 games, I think it was, at Clemson.
Exactly.
And, maybe he's just a guy that will never be great against power, but can be good enough with his length and his athleticism to handle it enough to not be a problem and be really good against the quicker rushers, which I think he was. But yeah, I still think I would have him as an early day 2 guy still, because I do like the experience of what he already brings as a player, even if the upside might not be very high. But I still would probably I'd rather take the shot on a guy like Markel Bell that I talked about earlier, just to see if that works out, because I think the upside's a little bit higher there. But yeah, 25 is definitely a little high. He'll probably be in the 40s for me, is where he'll end up. So
yeah, in the 70s, 80s for me.
Yeah, so definitely for you, it's definitely more of a not my guy. Similarly, I think in that way, because if you look at the consensus board for this player, I don't quite see it. My next one here is CJ Allen, the linebacker out of Georgia at 34 on the consensus board. He, to me, is more of a guy that I'd feel better drafting in the 60s or 70s. I think there's nothing about him, to me, that stands out enough to take him that high as a linebacker. I think he's a solid player right now, especially as a run defender. In coverage, I think he's smart, but I do think there's a reason why I think that, because if I'm not mistaken, unless he's tested since I last checked, I don't think he tested really at all. I know he was apparently banged up a little bit at his pro day or something like that, so maybe that's why he ultimately doesn't test. But yeah, I don't think he did any testing whatsoever, and I wonder if there's a reason for that. Because even if he is banged up or something, which is totally fair, he's sub 6'1", 233 with no testing, and a guy that I thought on tape was a good player, but not a special one, especially for a guy that might go in the first round, apparently. I just can't get there. I'd much rather take a chance on Jacob Rodriguez, for example, in my opinion, because I think he showed a ton of instincts and playmaking ability and just multiple ways he can win at the college level already. Whereas Allen, I think, didn't do as much of that and might have even more athletic limitations than Rodriguez, which I don't think people would have guessed going into this process. So,
Yeah, the not testing is weird, but I mean, the tape showed a really good athlete, which is why I'm a little
I
closer
didn't
to
see it as
consensus.
much with him, but maybe I just didn't see it. But yeah,
I think the sideline to sideline speed is definitely there, and just and like the hips, I think are what are really impressive to me. Like I think his hips are a lot better than Rodriguez's, which is for linebacker. I think usually like a make or break thing for the position. Like if you just don't have good hips, like there's not much you can actually do in coverage. And I think that's the big thing. Like actually has the coverage skills. And I think at the end of the day, with being a true junior as well, I think there's enough upside where I am okay with taking him in the early second round. I don't know if I'm taking him in the first round, but late 20s, early 30s, you can start justifying it maybe, but I would rather take him early in the second round.
Fair enough. Let's get another one of yours here then up here.
Another offensive lineman that I just didn't like, Jake Slaughter.
Yeah, I think you're not alone on that either. I think he's got. See, it seems like when I look at like other people's thoughts on some of these players, Slaughter's one of those names that pops up as a guy that has a pretty wide range for people. Like some people are really big fans of him, like think he's best center in the class. Others are kind of probably, I'm guessing, closer to where you're going to have him, where it's like I don't know if I would take him until day 3. Like it's interesting, but go ahead.
Yeah, actually, the consensus has him 102. So that's actually probably closer to where he's going to be for me. But I just remember seeing a lot of other people being really high on him, and I just didn't really get it. But like for me, I think he was. Yeah, he's like my IOL 11. I have a 4th round grade on him, so yeah. 102 is actually not crazy. But I just don't see the day 2 upside that other people are seeing.
Yeah, I think if I was going to take him on day 2, it would have to be very late. I don't think he's a guy that I would want to take before the late 80s, early 90s at the earliest. I think there's a certain floor there because he does have a good bit of experience at Florida. I think he played a lot of really good players and was able to hold up okay. But I think the upside is just not really there ultimately with him. Like I think he kind of might already be what he is, which is maybe a solid starting center in the NFL. But if that's the case, it's probably his high end outcome, in my opinion. And there's not a lot of great starting centers, so it's not necessarily the end of the world if he's not like an above average one. Like he probably can still get a starting spot somewhere at some point. But he's a guy that because of the position he plays and the fact that I don't think the upside's super high, I would prefer to take him late on day 2, early day 3, which is granted where his consensus is right now. So
yeah.
This one is tough because everything about this player makes me want to like him more. I just worry a little bit if he's going to be kind of not necessarily a specialist, but a guy that is really, really strong in one area, but not strong enough in another to like consistently be an impact overall. Keontae Scott, the cornerback out of Miami, the slot corner. Right now consensus board for him, I believe he's in the corner group. So he is 61. I'm probably going to have him closer to 100 on my board at the end of the day. And it's mostly because I think he's really, really good at what he does, which is coming forward as a slot player, being a force in the run game, blitzing, being able to take away some stuff underneath in coverage. But I kind of feel like as soon as he has to turn his back to the quarterback, he's just not good enough in coverage. Like if he's not coming down as an attacking downhill player from the slot position, he kind of loses a lot of his value for me. And I think smart NFL offenses will try to take advantage of that as much as they can. And I worry that he might be a guy that gets picked on a little bit in coverage at the next level if he's used as a true like nickel defender, which is what I think he probably should play, especially because I don't love him going backwards as a true safety. If he had to play like an actual spot besides nickel, that's where he'd probably have to play too. I just worry that he could end up being like a supercharged Mike Hilton, which is a good player, But Hilton, as good as he was at times, was never a great coverage player for the Steelers, and that's kind of ultimately why I think they let him out the door at the end of his contract. I wonder if he'll be in the same spot where like he's a fun player, makes some splash plays, gets you a couple sacks, maybe a couple turnovers on plays where he reads it and really, like he jumped that route for a touchdown against Ohio State, like stuff like that. You might get some plays like that from him, but I wonder if the overall like impact is going to be worth a day two, like a high day 2 pick, especially. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm kind of. What is the consensus on him?
61.
Yeah, I'm actually higher than the consensus on him. He's 44. I get like the concerns, especially like in coverage, but like at the end of the day, I think that's a guy that's just a good football player, and I think
he's good at what he does. Yeah,
like that's just kind of it. Like I think you can, you just got to make sure you're playing it safe with what you ask him to do. Mm-hmm. But like that's a guy that I just think that you can drop onto an NFL field tomorrow, and he's gonna make plays.
And this thing is, I think he'll be a guy that can make plays for you. But I guess my question, like, I know that you weren't very high on this player, and even I wasn't as high as we probably should have been on this player, especially with where he ended up going. Would you do you think Nicky Manwari is worth a higher pick than Keontae Scott, knowing what we know about him as a nickel defender now? Because he was drafted right in that same 40s range that you have Scott. So
yeah, no, like I would, yeah. I mean, I think
you know what I'm saying though.
Yeah, but the impact Manwari is having on the game is definitely worth a pick in the 40s.
I definitely think so too. But I think he's a far better athlete and overall coverage player than I think Scott is going to be at the next level.
Yeah, but
so that's where I'm at.
Manwari also still doesn't. I don't think Manwari's balls are nearly the size of Keontae Scott's.
That's fair. But again, I think it's a different skill set, right? Where it's like I value what Manwari brings as a coverage defender and nickel defender more than I value what Scott brings, especially if I'm using a top 50 pick on him.
I get that.
I'd like Keontae Scott to be on my football team, but not if I have to draft him in the 60s or 50s, basically.
Yeah. I just think like at the end of the day, like also like he is smart. I think like the fact like
very much
Manwari had like still has some like learning to do, and like they had to be very like specific with
what he's just a tremendous athlete and mover. That's what made him so good as a rookie. Yeah.
Scott's a guy that you just send out there and you tell him to make shit happen. He's gonna do it. And I just think like there's a lot of leadership potential there on the defense. And I think
true.
He could do it relatively early because he is already 25.
Is he 24 or 25? I forget. I think he's 24 now. Maybe he'll be 25.
He'll be 25 as a rookie. Yeah. Maybe. So like, I get the limited like upside on him, but like, man, that's a guy that I just know is going to be a good football player.
There's no doubt that like I don't like that I don't like him as much as other people do. I'll be honest with you. I don't like, but I also have to tell myself, I'm like, would I draft this skill set and this type of player in the top 60? I wouldn't. Because again, I still think he's kind of like a supercharged Mike Hilton, who was an undrafted free agent for the Steelers. So not saying he should go undrafted. I'm saying I'd probably want to take him closer to the end of the third, top of the fourth than the end of the second, basically, is kind of where I'm at with him. But let's get another name from you then,
Speaking of guys I wanted to like more, or guys we wanted to like more, Malachi Lawrence is my next not my guy.
Oh, yeah. He's still one of the last guys I have to watch, so I don't know where I'm going to land on this. But I have a suspicion it's probably not going to be the first round hype that he's getting.
Yeah, I just don't get like taking him in the first round. I mean, he's
currently 43rd on the consensus board.
What is it?
43.
43. Yeah, I have a 4th round grade on him.
Yeah, explosive athlete. You're right, though. Yeah,
I mean, the power is terrifying. Like, legitimately, I would not want to be lined up in front of this guy. I would shit my pants.
Well, I wouldn't want to be lined up against any of these guys, even Keontae Scott.
Yeah.
But
like, he is just, his hands are just so like powerful and violent. He has a really high motor. The problem is he doesn't have any pass rush arsenal whatsoever. I don't think he has any moves.
From what I've seen, it's basically I'm faster and stronger than you.
Yeah,
if it works.
I'm going to explode off the snap, and I'm going to run right through your face, and it's going to work.
And I can respect that, but
and then also, like, especially in the run game, it shows that like the instincts aren't really there for him to be effective in the run game. So you're looking at like a pure third down edge rusher that doesn't have any pass rush moves. So like you're asking him to, like, hopefully. I mean, the thing is, I think he's going to overpower most NFL offensive linemen. He's that powerful, but like it's only going to get you so far, and he's just so raw. And the problem is, he's a fifth-year senior, so like, it's not getting any better.
Yeah, it'd be easier. I think, again, I still need to watch him, so I don't want to say that I'm gonna end up like in the 4th round with him. Maybe I'll be higher, but like every time I hear someone talk about him, even people who are hiring him, I'm like, okay, I get where this is coming from. I like this, but like, isn't he kind of like maybe not maxed out, but like, isn't he an older player on top of all this? And like, how much more can you expect? Like, obviously, the NFL, everyone develops at the NFL level, coached by NFL players, right? Like, as long as the work ethic is there, which I have no reason to think it isn't with him, but you're going to develop to some degree. But like, how much more can he add to his game, right? Because ideally, like, even with I know the pass rush thing has gotten to the point where like a lot of people are like, the bag doesn't matter as long as you have the trump card. And I'm like, I agree with that to a certain degree. If the trump card is that good, I don't necessarily know if it's going to be for him based on what I've seen.
It might be, but like, I don't know.
There's still the first and second down stuff you talked about. Like,
yeah,
is he going to be a DPR? And if he is, that's not a bad thing. But it also might mean you don't take him at 27 or 31 or whatever.
27. That's funny you mentioned 27. That's where he went in Epic Mock.
That is where which granted, if the Niners were the team picking there still, because they moved up, even though that'd be probably too early, even if I end up liking him, at least that's the only thing they don't have on the defensive line.
Yeah.
I guess there's that.
But it was the Cowboys, which was the most Jerry pick I've ever seen.
I mean, and to be honest with you, because they have like 15 other edge rushers who are sort of good, maybe the combination of all of them will work. I don't know. But I get where you're coming from.
They might all eventually add up to Micah Parsons.
If you squint really hard and get all 4 of them on the field together, you might get Micah Parsons. My last, not my guy here, which we kind of, I guess, based on consensus recently, which I need to actually double check that because I haven't checked consensus recently until today. No, yeah, he's still way up there. Avion Terrell, the corner out of Clemson, is consensus number 26 in the class currently.
Yeah, don't get that.
He's going to be in the 50s for me, probably. And probably is a guy that I think should move into the slot, ideally. The testing is what it is. He was banged up. I don't want to put too much into it, but the overall point with him is he's a smaller player who I don't think is as explosive as I would like in a player with his frame, and a guy that I don't necessarily believe is going to hold up super well, especially if asked to play man coverage at the next level. And when those things, you combine all those things, it gives you a limited ceiling, which is why he ends up in the 50s for me. I think he's a good football player. I think he'll probably be a decent starting corner for someone in the NFL. I just don't know if I see the first round ceiling there.
Yeah, he's 45 for me because I'm with you. Like, he's probably going to be a really good nickel. I don't think if you make him your outside corner, I have concerns.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing with him. Any other not my guys?
I had 2 guys left on my 5. My guy, not my guys. But I'll be quick with the one, and then the other one I know you'll have a lot to say about. So, one is Jadarian Price.
Okay. I mean,
that one,
yeah.
Like, and again, I have a 4th round grade on him.
Oh, that hurts. That hurt me in my soul a little bit.
My issue is I can't take. He is now. I'm low on this running back class.
I mean, everyone kind of is probably.
Yeah, he's my RB5 right behind Robert Henry Jr.
You love. I remember you. Yeah, I forgot you love Robert Henry Jr. Yeah.
My problem is durability, and at the end of the day, like, I just don't have any data to tell me that he can be a 3-down back in the NFL, because he's never had to do it, and I just don't know, and I'm not taking that before day 3.
Okay.
If I can't in any way see it, maybe it's there, but like, to me, I just don't know what I'm getting with him because of the the splitting time with Love, and I just don't know if he's a true bell. I just don't know if he'll ever. There's nothing leading me to believe that he's going to be a bell cow at the next level.
Okay, so Jaren Price for me is probably going to be in my top 50 if I had to guess, pretty comfortably. Actually, I think he's the only back in this class I'd be willing to take in the top 75 outside of Jeremiah Love. And the reason why is because even if it wasn't a smaller sample size, because he's playing behind, Jeremiah Love, which, to be fair, almost everyone's going to play behind Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
Maybe like in college, like at least in recent college history, there's only a few guys who probably wouldn't be in at least a very significant committee with Jeremiah Love, to be fair, Price still touched the ball plenty. I don't view that as a negative for a couple reasons. One, because I know that it wasn't because he wasn't good enough. That's not like you can't really like say that was definitely why. Now, if he went somewhere else like this past year and still didn't like lead the way or something, it'd be easier to point to that being a problem. But he's still a young player, not very much tread on the tires. He's a kick-ass kick returner on top of all that. Like, he's going to be really good, I think, in that part of the game early on too. And the passing game stuff, like because he hasn't done it a lot, and I think he looked very natural at it. And again, this is all we really have because he didn't do it very much. He looked really natural at it at the combine when he was asked to do those drills. I don't think it's that he can't do it. It's that why would you not throw the football to Jeremiah Love instead?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like that type of stuff, I understand being concerned about it because you want to see it. Obviously, with any player, you don't want to not get to see them do the things that you hope they can do in the NFL. Carry the ball 20 times in a game, catch a couple passes out of the backfield, pass protect consistently. And that's why he's not a higher graded player for me ultimately, because I think just as a pure runner, very comfortably the second best player in the class is just a first and second down player. If he can add the third down stuff or just is better at it than we've seen and just didn't need to do it, because again, why would you take Jeremiah Love off the field on third down if you're Notre Dame? He will be even a better player than I think he might be at the next level. And getting a guy this talented as a runner without all the wear on his tires because he was playing behind Jeremiah Love, I could see him being a really, really productive player pretty quickly and lasting a good bit because of the fact he didn't have as many touches in college. So that I'm kind of looking at it the opposite way of like, because he didn't have to do a ton in college, but still showed the flashes you want, averaged over 6 yards per carry at Notre Dame, was really explosive as a runner whenever he had the opportunity to be that, was a kick returner that was able to legitimately like finish plays and return kicks for touchdowns. Like a 4.49 40 isn't insane for the player, but for running back is very, very good. And for his size is good enough because he is not the biggest guy in the world. I saw too many flashes from him as a runner to not rank him pretty highly. So
fair.
Yeah. But
that.
And then
my
your
last guy.
Okay.
Another guy's gonna make you mad.
Oh no, not twice.
Emmanuel, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize you were that high on Price. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
My last one was Emmanuel Pregnon.
No, not the Pregnon. No,
and I'm not actually that far off from consensus on him. I think he's going to be, he's 40 on the consensus. I think he's going to be somewhere in the 80s probably for me. And I think I have more of a third round grade on him just because I think at the end of the day, he's a 6th-year senior guard that is going to be scheme limited because of the lack of lateral quickness. That's just kind of what it comes down to. This is where too, I think I put more positional value into my grades.
Fair. That starts to be affected too. Yeah.
Like, I think that's probably a little bit there. Like, I think that's starting caliber guard, especially in the right scheme. But like, I just don't see much upside there.
Yeah, at the end of the day, for me, he's going to be in the 30s for me. He is a absolutely just rock solid NFL guard from day one. I think that the idea of the lateral quickness being a bit of an issue, I can understand, but he is so highly effective as his own blocker at Oregon. I just don't see that being enough of an issue at the next level to be that worried about it. And at the end of the day, the 6-year senior stuff is something you have to factor in a little bit, but he's ready to go right now. And I think it's partially because he's a 6-year senior. He played a lot of college football and he was very good in college football. Like to me, like he's a guy you slot in day one as your left guard and you roll with it. Like I've already started kind of projecting or hoping the Steelers are willing to move up from 53 to get him to slot into the left guard spot and just hit the ground running with that offensive line. And if they have to move up into the late 30s, early 40s to do it, I'm totally fine with that because you have, and granted, the Steelers case, you have a bunch of picks that you can use to do that, so it's a little easier to justify. But I think even like I would have been willing to at least consider him for the Chargers if Ioane is not on the board 22 in a trade back scenario, especially. I think that would make a lot of sense for them because again, McDaniel's scheme with his own blocking, especially, he'd be a great fit based on what he showed at Oregon. I am very interested in where he ends up and how high he ultimately goes. Yeah,
fair.
But yeah, the offensive guard thing too, like as far as positional value, kind of in the same way the NFL starts to skew this way. It's not that I view them the same as tackles, but it's a lot closer.
It's getting closer. Been. That's fair.
And it's just because, like, man, you can't be bad at guard. Like, you can kind of like if you have the right scheme and the right plan for it, you can kind of get away with a bad tackle, as long as they're not like the worst tackle in the NFL. If you have a bad guard, like it's really hard to get away from that.
I know.
It's just, Dalton knows. He knows what's like that bad everything, unfortunately.
I got to watch Alex Kappa get blown up in person.
Dude, he was so cooked, unfortunately, by the time he got because he was a decent player for a while, but he just was so cooked by the time he got to the Raiders.
Oh my god. I mean
so bad.
Watching the Eagles defensive line just drive him straight back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was tough. But yeah, I just think that Prognon gives you a floor, and maybe I think the floor for offensive linemen is something I care a lot about because I don't want my guy to just be tremendously bad. Like I like Basantis a good bit. There's a little bit of stuff with him where like he might not be good right away and it might end up not working out, but he's a better athlete than Prognon. So if you're looking for the upside, I get that for sure. But with Prognon, I just have a hard time thinking he's going to be bad. Like he might never be great, but bad feels like a really low outcome percentile for him. But we'll see. Maybe he'll end up just not having it. Who knows? That's what happens sometimes. But we spent a lot of time on that. I don't want to make this like a 4-hour freaking show, but I do want to do a first round mock if you still.
We can run through a quick what we would do first round mock, I think,
because it might be the last one we get in. Now I might try to, since Jake wasn't able to join us, maybe him and I can try to hop on. I know you're going to be busy for the next while, Dalton, before the draft. So in our next show will be the draft board show where we do our predictive mock then too. So if we can get another one in, great. Jake and I might try to do that. If not, then this will be our last one. So we'll try to get one in here. And I'm going to use the PFSN mock draft simulator for this one because I do want the ability to move around a little bit if we feel like we kind of need to, because otherwise we'll sit there for 4 hours trying to decide a pick, which we don't necessarily want to do at this point, especially. But let's get the mock pulled up. I already have it set up. And I'm actually going to, since we're doing only one round this time, since we took a little bit longer with that, I'm going to make it a 1 round because right now I think it's set for 2.
Gotcha.
So
we just taking turns, or are we doing?
Yeah, we'll go one by one. Yeah, because that way it's because what we would do. I don't want it to be like a consensus between the two of us because there might be big differences as we've talked about in this already. So we'll do 1 round. Doesn't really matter what list we use. We'll just throw the consensus on here, and it doesn't matter because we're picking for all the teams. But we'll get a first round mock in here, and we'll not just rapid fire, but we'll try not to spend too much time. Do you want? The first pick.
I'll let you have the odds because Steelers are 21, right?
Yes, they are. That's true.
Yeah.
So
because we know what the Raiders are doing.
Yes, and it is also what I would do. So since we're doing what we would do, I will stick and pick with. I would take Mendoza, even though some people maybe would consider because they don't like him as much to try to trade out of this pick or something. I like him plenty enough to just take him here. So Mendoza
Yeah.
to the Raiders. For
All
the
right.
Jets,
Are
though,
there-
this is where the draft starts, and it's
Yeah.
been all over the place recently. Where are you at this point, Dalton?
From the Jets, I have so many holes and probably trade back.
Right.
Does this do trade offers?
So because we're picking for all the teams, no, but we can
Yeah.
talk about a trade. So if it's a pick that I would hold, I'll have to obviously approve it. If it's a pick you would hold, or a player or a team that you would hold that pick for, then I'll kind of let you work it out and make sure it makes sense for both teams a little bit. So if you want to try to move down, you can explore that.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't know who's going to want to move up, honestly.
Yeah, like I know for me, I'm probably not moving up if I'm in one of these
Yeah.
teams in this range, just because, especially if you don't pick the player that I think you're going to pick, then I'm okay with letting them fall.
Yeah.
And
I'm
trying
going
get
to
them
stick
later,
and
but
pick here, and we're just going to
Okay.
take the best defensive player on the board, and that's Sonny Styles.
Okay, right. I kind of thought that you would do that. So, Sonny Styles to the Jets, linebacker out of Ohio State, not the one that is projected to go to them, and also now recently it's been David Bailey, the favorite, to go number 2. Which
just
no, don't do it, Aaron.
I
please.
like David Bailey. He
not
is
a 2, man. Not
he's
a 2.
4 on my board. So but he's a distant 4 from Bain and Styles.
For me, he's going to be in the teens for me somewhere. Like, I'm just not. I worry about the profile on him of because the problem with him is if he doesn't hit as a pass rusher like right away and stay there, I don't think he's anything more than like a DPR if it's not like a high level, because you can justify playing him a ton of snaps if he's that good of a pass rusher. But as a run defender, I don't know if he's ever going to be more than just passable, because he at least gives you effort, but I don't know about the actual like edge setting ability. I worry he could end up being like a souped up DPR, which is fine. And with someone in this draft that taken the teens because of how good he might be at that, I simply can't do it. You might just be getting Will McDonald again, which you already have like Will McDonald at home. You don't have to do that. At least take something different, right? Anyway, Cardinals at 3. I know there's been some stuff with this player that's come out. I don't want to talk about it too much because it's already been talked about more than the family involved in this. Once we talked about with Ruben Bain, I'm running the card in for Ruben Bain as soon as I'm able to do it. So, and with the Cardinals, they still need more pass rush. Apparently, who are they signed from Eagles last year? I can't remember his name right now. Josh Sweat. Apparently, he doesn't want to be there. I heard earlier this offseason. Maybe that got worked out, but especially if you might not have him for very much longer, like you want to have that true power guy for your defense. So I will go Ruben Bain here.
All right, so the Titans. So I forget. Titans. What do they have on the offensive line? Because that's kind of
not a whole lot.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning. I'd also like if I'm picking here with what's on the board here, I don't hate I think if I'm picking here, it's not too at 4. I'd probably look to trade down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think because like the offensive lineman, I don't think I could take Fano. My top O lineman here would be Fano. And I just don't know if I'm taking Fano at 4.
If you wanted to trade down a little bit, there is a team that I could see looking to move up to get a player at this spot, and it's something I would have some interest in for sure. And it'd be Washington at 7. Wouldn't be a very small move, or wouldn't be a very big move down, but it'd be.
I'm curious if the Saints would take a swing. Did the Saints sign a running back?
They did. Trevor Achan now is what his name, by the way, is, for those who didn't catch that. That's how you say it. They did sign him to a pretty sizable deal. So my thought was with Washington is they would be coming up to, for me, I would either take Jeremiah Love because I think that they're at a place where they're able to do that with their window, or I would even consider just taking the swing on Arvell Reese and seeing if you can get him to be like a special
I'm good with that move down.
Okay. So if we do that, so we'd be looking at the Titans and going to Washington. So it would be 4, 7, and then I think would 71 by itself be enough? You think? Just 3 spots?
I think it'd be 71 and next year's 3, or maybe next.
Because I'm thinking in the context of this draft, because that would give the Titans 2 picks relatively close together in the 3rd round. They only moved down 3 spots. I would throw in like I can, because we can just accept it. I don't think it matters because we're both teams. But like a 4th next year too, I think is fine. If you're good with that.
Yeah. That's fine.
Well, I'm both teams. What do you mean? Like maybe I do have to make it. We'll just make it work.
One-sided?
I don't know. It said it was close. I think what we'll do is we know we want to do that. So I'll just make it work. I assume that it would just give you the option to accept it because you're both teams. But I haven't tried that with the PFS unlock. So it'll be 4, 7, 71, and then I'll just do we'll just do this one because it's likely accept because it won't matter for the context of this draft anyway. So boom. So it'll be Washington is now picking at 4. So I'll make this pick since it would have been my pick. And then I think for me, I am gonna because I want to make Jaden Daniels while he's on a rookie contract. I want to make that work on offense as best I can. You could consider Cardinal Tate here. I just, as much as I still like him a lot, it's a little early for a receiver in most drafts, let alone this one even. I'm gonna take the guy that I think is gonna give me the most bang for my buck right away, Jeremiah Love at 4. And then I would be picking here for the Giants as well with the odds. So I'll take care of this one real quick. Man, Arvo Reese might fall for a minute. You might get the opportunity to take him at 7 if you want. Because I'm not going to add him to this line, this Giants group. I think it's just too many guys at that point. I think for me, it's Caleb Downs. That's what I'm taking at 5.
I like that.
Harbaugh already knows what it's like to have a safety come in and completely reinvent the defense. I think he could do that for them in a different way than Hamilton did for him with the Baltimore Ravens, but still, that type of player. And yeah, I'll take Caleb Downs. And then you're up the next 2 picks. Well, 3 actually.
All right. So I got the Browns here.
Yep.
I know the Browns have made some moves on the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
I still just don't like DeJuan Jones cannot be your left tackle next year.
He's the and the scale of like Markel Bell, who I hope he can be. And like DeJuan Jones is the derogatory giant tackle versus the non-derogatory one. So it's tough.
And we're taking the guy that I feel a little bit better about playing left tackle right away. I'm taking Spencer Fano here.
Okay, so we'll take Spencer Fano. I like that. I think it makes the most sense because he does have flexibility, kind of like a lot of the other guys they've added this offseason to just kind of do whatever. He gives them the chance to get the best 5 out there, basically, is how I kind of view that too. And then you also have this pick and the next pick here. So Titans.
Another guy that I think gives you the chance to get the best 5 out there. I'm taking Maui Noah to the Titans.
Yeah, okay. I like that pick for them. I think the idea of them taking Jeremiah Love is just kind of frustrating to me because I love Jeremiah Love, but we just saw this happen last year.
Yeah.
We literally and granted, I was higher on the Genti pick because I thought the offensive line was at least a little bit
paper
better
was better
right
back when we didn't know that bunch of guys were going to get hurt and that Brennan Carroll was going to be the offensive line coach.
He's a fake coach. And the offensive coordinator was making shit up. We could go on and on about that. We're not going to. But I like that pick a lot for them. And I think the trade here would make a lot of sense for both sides, honestly. Saints.
So I think if you're the Saints, in Arvell Reese is on the board at 8. You're just kind of running this card in.
That's sick. I think that happened. Was that not what happened in Epic Mock too?
I think it is.
It sounds familiar. I'm pretty sure it might have.
He went 8 to the Saints as well.
Yeah, so already reinventing that one a little bit. I think I like Reese a lot, but there's just a little bit of fog of war with him because, like, do I think he should probably try to play edge a lot of the time because it'll make his value higher as a top probably 5 pick in this draft? Yeah, but he hasn't done a lot of it yet, so it's kind of a tough evaluation. Like, I would feel better if he did the Abdul Carter thing and like played edge full time as last year versus doing what he did for Matt Patricia's defense, because I just think it'd be a cleaner eval. But he's still an awesome athlete that I think is hard to really deny at this point in the draft. So we'll go Reese here. Chiefs at 9. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place here, because my head tells me that because this team just lost a bunch of talent at corner, that they should take one of the two corners. For me, slightly ahead was Jermod McCoy, but I think for specifically the Chiefs, because they just need to hit on this pick really badly, because they never really get picks this high, obviously, because of the Mahomes factor and everything that they've been doing for a decade now. I'd probably go Delane for them specifically. Or do you turn the card in for a real actual receiver in Cardinal Tate? That's what I'm deciding between, because they desperately need like an actual wide receiver versus whatever collection of stuff they've been having at receiver. Because Rashee Rice is basically a running back playing receiver half the time because he's just running underneath routes and then running away from people. Xavier Worthy is something, I guess, sort of. What else do you really have? I don't know. Like I think because of that, I'll take Tate here at 10.
Gotcha.
Or at 9, sorry.
I'll hate that. I think personally I like the depth of the class enough to wait, but I totally get it.
But also if I'm factoring in that, like, even if it's what I would do, like, I know that this team can develop corners. I'd rather just let them. I don't think they can develop receivers. They have not proven that at all. So.
No. So if I'm the Bengals, I'm just sending the card in for the best defensive player on the board. And in this case, it's David Bailey.
And I think for them, like, this is the top of the range. I'd feel good about taking him. I think the Bengals need someone who like actually can rush the pass, which I do think Bailey can do. Like at the end of the day, I think he's going to be really good at that to some degree. How high that ends up being for me, I don't know. But he's so different from what the Bengals have. I think it makes too much sense not to get that type of player in the building. So I get that. I'm up with the Dolphins, who I think. Oh man, there's two players I'm immediately thinking of for them. One of whom is what the fan base and probably what a lot of people, at least based on my experience, because I've done some mocks and heard some feedback from Dolphins fans about some of them. They probably want Mansour Delane here at 11. And I get that. I think he's well worth the pick for sure. I would argue maybe Jermod McCoy, because this team is not going to be good next year anyway, maybe draft the higher upside guy and let him play and figure it out and see what happens. But I get the Delane hype. I kind of want to draft Vega Ioane. I kind of want to just draft him because this team needs good players so badly. And I think Delane is going to be a really good player. I don't know if there's a player outside of maybe Jeremiah Love, because he's a running back and super talented. I don't know if there's a player in this class I'd feel better about being a great player in the NFL than Vega Ioane at this point. Besides
drafting him right after canning Mike McDaniel and running to out of town after letting him get CTE would be
awesome.
It's just hilarious karma or just irony. Like,
it would be very
the irony there of just, oh my god,
it'd be awesome.
Like,
I want to do that.
McDaniel would have loved, and it might have kept Tua from turning.
Well, honestly, I wonder, because I don't think Mike McDaniel gives a shit about guards at all, because he seems to think, at least based on how the offseason went, that he can win with the guy he just had starting guard for him last year and Cole Strange and freaking Trevor Penning at guard.
Well, I think he just doesn't know what he's gonna get. With the
maybe, but like the fact they brought Strange over sounds like McDaniel's like, yeah, I made it work with him.
I mean, Cole Strange still probably starts for the Chargers.
But that's the problem, is that you can start for the Chargers. It's kind of my issue.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think if I was doing this, as much as I want to take Ioane, I think you get a more valuable position and a more valuable player with Delane. I'll take him and let McCoy go somewhere else. Sure. But I like that still a lot too. The Cowboys, one of two picks you'll have for them, unless we do a trade or something. But
this is the one, because that would have probably been my pick. I was hoping he was going to fall. I would have probably run that card in for the Cowboys. Because, I mean, the Cowboys are another team that BPA defense is what they just need to do.
Probably.
And for me, the best player available on defense. Ironically for them, this is a position they've really tried to get right, and they still haven't. I still think this guy would be worth taking here just because his relative value, I think, is a lot higher than everyone else here on my board personally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking Peter Woods here.
Okay. That might be the highest you see Peter Woods draft in a mock draft on video the rest of the draft cycle. Because people just don't. I know people don't like him very much at this point. I'm kind of sort of in that boat. I don't know where he's going to end up for me, but I'll tell you what, he's a Jerry pick.
Yeah,
if nothing else.
Yeah.
And that's either it can be good or bad.
Yeah, but he came out of summer scouting for me at like 3.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was pretty typical for people, yeah, because he was awesome in 2024.
And I mean, I get he had a bad year, but I'm blaming Tom Allen.
And frankly, maybe we all should. Maybe we should just assume that he's bad.
When everyone on that team just played like, and also more Dabo than anybody, because that whole team just played like shit all year.
Yeah. It's just not great. So I'm in a bit of I think I would try to do what we would do, right? But I can't not just keep seeing Mekhi Lemon's name in a Rams uniform because it seems like the chalk pick at this point. And like I do like Lemon a lot. I do. I really do.
He'd look great in that offense too.
He would. He's definitely a Rams receiver. But man, like it's kind of tough. And I think if it wasn't for the fact that they reinforced the corner position so heavily this offseason, McCoy would be a pick I would make because, like, again, they're trying to win a Super Bowl. If he's as good as he was in 2024 as a rookie, that would help them hit the ground running. But they've already addressed corner a bunch through trades and signings. So I'm not going to go there. Oh, man, part of me is like, what the hell would Sean McVay do with Kenyon Sadiq in his offense? That's another question I have. Because, like, I'm going to probably have Sadiq in the 20s. He's a good player, but I have some questions with him ultimately. But, man, with Sean McVay calling plays for him, I don't know, man. That might go really hard. But ultimately, I think for me, oh, man, this is tough. I'm going to go. It's chalky, but I think that this makes a lot of sense, especially with the way that Puka's offseason has gone, which it's an interesting situation. Hopefully he's all right, basically, is kind of my thing. That's my only real take on is hopefully he's all right. And we get him full strength, but I'm gonna take Mekhi Lemon as a pick to go for it this year and be like, good luck guarding anyone on the Rams offense next year. Ravens here 14. This one's also probably chalky, but I'm curious if you feel differently, Dalton.
So I'm stuck between two things. Obviously, the chalky thing is to take Ioane here.
The big boy.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
But does Ioane really help the fact that like Lamar Jackson's gonna be running around carrying this team anyways? Because the problem is good of the protection is gonna be there's nobody for him to throw the ball to. So does it really matter how good the protection is? And I'm seeing another guy sitting here that could be a replacement for tight end that's just kind of cooked. I'm taking Kenyon Sadiq here. I'm doing it.
You know what? I appreciate it because we've got the Ioane to the Ravens so much. And first of all, I kind of want to see what happens if that doesn't happen, right? Because that's interesting. But as much as I love Ioane, I think that you're right. Like, if he's an awesome guard for them, which I think he would be.
What does it do?
Yeah, like, is Lamar going to suddenly be able to, like, just do regular, like, stuff? Because he still can't with this group of receivers. He has to make
had really good offensive lines in front of Lamar for years.
Yeah, and it just last year it was terrible, but that was because a number of things happened.
Yeah, but even when it was good, they couldn't get over the hump because Lamar hasn't had really anybody to throw the ball to.
Yeah. It just, because outside of Zay Flowers, who is explosive as he is, sometimes he's just a goofball, frankly.
Yeah.
He's just a weirdo out there sometimes. I don't even want to talk about what's his face. I'm starting to forget about who he is because I don't want to
Rashad
think
Bateman
about. Yeah,
or
Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman pisses me off so bad. I loved him so much coming out of Minnesota.
Yeah, I know.
And he started to show flashes the year before in 2024, and then this past year, mega dog shit. I know the offense was terrible and everything sucked and the Ravens had issues. He was mega dog shit still, even within that.
Yeah.
Like, is not good. It makes total sense. And Sadiq would be a really fun weapon for Lamar in particular because even though he's gotten much better at attacking outside the numbers throughout his career now, he is deadly throwing over the middle of the field where Sadiq is probably going to do a lot of his work. So I like that pick a lot. For me, this is pretty easy. I know they need pass rush. I don't like the pass rushers quite enough at this point. If you're not going to be able to rush the passer super well, at least give your guys more time to get there. I'm taking Jermon McCoy at 15 to the Bucs. Like that, I think that they would love him with the Bucs, so I'll take him there.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, makes a ton of sense for them. Jets at 16.
All right, so I'm looking at the Jets roster, and I didn't look at it earlier. I'm glad I looked at it now because I just realized how important that Styles pick was because I didn't realize that the guy they brought in to be their starting like middle linebacker right now is 37-year-old Demario Davis.
Hey, guess who can teach Sonny Styles how to play linebacker at the NFL level? Demario Davis.
Then again, I think Sonny Styles might already know what he's doing.
Well, when I say teach him, I mean like more than he already had. Like I think he still has developing to do, as any linebacker will at the next level. But yeah, Demario Davis and Sonny Styles might be the two most different people to ever play the same position on an NFL team ever. At this point in their careers.
Yeah. So for this one, am I Aaron Glenn? Am I literally Aaron Glenn or anyone?
It's what you would do. What would you do if you were the Jets, given the situation that they are currently in? So you didn't create the situation, but you're plopped into it. What are you doing?
But am I like worried about losing my job this year?
No, you were just picking for this team.
So then I think for the Jets, God, I mean, this roster is just horrible.
Do you take the swing? Are you the team to take the swing on Injury Boy?
Which one?
That's fair. I mean, I'm talking about Tyson. It's because I mean,
no,
I don't know. I feel like that might be a real thing that ends up happening. But
what, Ty Simpson here?
No, Tyson.
Tyson. Oh, Jordan Tyson. Sorry,
Tyson. Sorry. I realized it might have sounded like Ty Simpson.
Yeah,
but I guess that could work for him too. Actually,
I think with what, honestly, I'm still high on AD Mitchell. You got Garrett Wilson.
I want to be. I want to be so bad, but I can't.
It doesn't really matter because none of it matters because Geno Smith's your quarterback.
Wouldn't it be electric though if Geno just can go back to like 2023 Seahawks Geno one more time? Wouldn't it be electric? I'm not buying it though, unfortunately. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, I am the best. Who is the best? I think this is just a BPA pick.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see here. Delane's off the board, right?
Yes, he went at 11 to the Dolphins.
I think here, what do they have at edge right now? Do they have much?
They have Will McDonald. I think they brought in Kingsley Enagbare from the Packers. They traded Jermaine Johnson. So.
Yeah, I don't like the fit of Falk here. We're gonna go. And McCoy's off the board, right?
Yeah, I just took him to the Bucs,
yeah. That's right. Yeah. We're gonna go TJ Parker here.
Ooh, that's an early TJ Parker pick for consensus, but I get it though. I get it. I think that this be early for me by a good bit, but he's the type of edge rusher they don't have right now.
Yeah.
So they did just lose Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate trading back here either for them because I mean the problem is BPA here for me. Like I was looking at the BPA and like the next two best players available for me are tackles. And they just don't need tackles right now.
Right.
It's like the one thing they don't need to draft here, and then the next best player available with Keldrick Falk, and he'd just be a horrible fit in a 3-4.
Yeah, I agree. At least with what he's trying to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I probably would have taken Ioane and said whoever the quarterback is in 2027 will at least have nothing to worry about when he drops back to pass. He might have trouble finding a receiver depending what they do, but I might have done that. But I get that though too. For the Lions at 17, I think, man, I'm stuck between, because I was thinking about this pick for a minute here. I'm stuck between swinging on the upside of a guy like, specifically for them, I actually think I would swing on a guy like Johannesson at 17. It's early for him for me, but I think the upside would play into what kind of like the Lions like to do with guys like that, just big, athletic guys that could move around. But I think that's just a little too early. Freeling would be a popular pick here, but I think that he's a little bit too underdeveloped right now for a Lions team trying to win if I was picking for them. Man, I would love if one of the corners made it to them because I actually think that'd be a really good pick for them, but obviously didn't happen here. Man, I think if it was me now, the problem with what I'm about to do, okay? What the problem with what I'm about to do is the fact that I think this player with his off the field stuff, this is probably way too early, but I just see him as a guy that the Lions would love, and I think it's within the realm of like value. I think this guy is going to be closer to the late 20s on my board, but I could just imagine Zion Young in a Lions uniform. Like if I was taking a power player, like I would probably take Young over Parker by a decent bit, but like he gives you a floor as a run defender. I think he gives you enough pass rush to finally give you something opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. And if the stuff off the field checks out, I could see him going really not this high probably, but somewhere in like the late, like mid to late 20s here. So I don't mind taking him there just as a good scheme fit for them. Vikings at 18.
So Vikings here, this could be Ioane just because
Why
I might
not?
like that. Yeah. But they also did just take Donovan Jackson last year.
They did.
I'm gonna go the secondary
a lot too. So
the secondary just doesn't have any talent.
No.
And so I'm kind of stuck here between Thieneman and Colton Hood.
Yeah, Thieneman is the chalk. Hood is the probably drafted higher than people think pick. So
yeah, I'm gonna go. I have Thieneman a little higher on my board. I'm gonna go Thieneman.
Yeah, that one just feels like it's gonna happen. And yeah, sure is a little on the nose. You're probably losing your longtime white boy safety. You get another white boy safety. It's a little on the nose, but you know, whatever.
But the dude's
different
players. And also they don't really play the same.
No, they're not at all similar, actually. But I just think it is funny that you had Harrison Smith patrolling the back end of the Vikings defense for like 15 years or whatever it was, and then the guy that might replace him is going to at least, look like it's just funny. That's all. Panthers at 19. I wish Kenyon Sadiq was on the board because I think that's where they should go if he is on the board because it'd just be fun to add that to that existing core of receivers. I think, and maybe this is a little bit, I don't want to say it's a hot take or anything like that per se, but I think this team is the team that should be the team, if he makes it this far into this, that rolls the dice on Jordan Tyson. Because you have what you have in McMillan. He was really good last year, better than I thought he'd be as a rookie, frankly. I like Jalen Coker in the slot. I think he's a big slot type for them and can handle that role really well. Again, I talked about Sadiq if he was here because like the guys that have in the tight end, they have a bunch of them that can play, but none of them are like great necessarily at all. So he would also still be an option as an explosive playmaker. You kind of have to find out this year if you can justify paying Bryce Young an actual quarterback contract, right? And if you give him Jordan Tyson and he's healthy in 2026 and he doesn't prove to you that he's the guy, then I think he's not. And I think that's got to be one of the first orders of business for the Panthers is finding out for sure if that's the case. So I think they take the swing and get Jordan Tyson here at 19.
I like it.
Cowboys back up. So you took, as a reminder, Peter Woods at 12, which some people would say, hell yeah. Other people would be like, wait a minute. What?
Yeah.
It's kind of all over the place right now. But what do you think?
How did do you remember, how did the Cowboys feel about Terrence Steele?
Here's all I'll tell you. He's ass. Yeah. I don't know if they think he's ass, but he can't really pass protect at all. He's pretty much just a road grader, and I don't know if he's good enough of one to justify not thinking tackle. I actually do think tackle low-key should be a higher priority for the Cowboys because, first of all, I don't really know if you have either tackle spots.
Yeah, Tyler Guyton's not great either.
So you hope he can be great, but he hasn't been yet. So.
But, and also, like, maybe you can move Guyton over to right tackle.
Yeah, maybe.
Possibly, because I think the guy I'm going here projects as more of a left tackle. I'm taking Caleb Lomu here.
Yeah, I think he is a left tackle. Yeah, and a guy that's a developmental one to some degree, but maybe he wouldn't have to play right away, right?
Yeah.
If you think Steele can hold down right tackle, and you don't have to move anybody yet, I think that's fine. We can definitely do that. My Steelers.
I feel like I know what pick you're.
Listen.
Are you running the card in for who I think it is, or are you letting him fall to the Chargers?
Normally, I would be going receiver here, right? And honestly, it might be the best move because as much as I love Vega Ioane, I think that if this was a full mock draft, I would try to trade up in the second round and get the guard that I want to be my left guard. So I didn't have to take Ioane at 22 or 21. But the fact he made it this far, maybe I was rigging it. Maybe I was rigging it, folks. Maybe the Miami at 11 thing was a ruse. Maybe that's what it was. I'm not going to confirm nor deny that. But I do think he's one of the few players in the draft that if he were to make it to 21, would supersede what I think is a desperate need at receiver, despite the Michael Pittman Jr. trade. I don't think that he's enough to keep you from needing that third guy, especially in Mike McCarthy's offense. But I'm gonna just be honest with you. If this guy's on the board, I'm gonna have a hard time not yelling at my screen on during the draft show to take him. So I'm going to take Vega Ioane at 21, crushing the hearts of Chargers fans around the world. But no, I think that if he makes it to the Steelers, he doesn't make it to the Chargers. Basically, is what I hope in that situation. So I just made your life a lot more difficult. I feel like
I'm looking to move down.
Okay,
and
if there would only be a couple spots anyway. If you didn't take Fano at 6, I would have said.
Here's
maybe,
the question: would the Browns be looking to move up here from 24 to get a receiver? They're not.
Well, because the Eagles could take one because the AJ Brown situation of it all.
But another team that might be even looking to jump up would the Niners or Bills be looking to move up?
I could see the Niners moving up for two different reasons. I think they could move up for a receiver or they could move up for a tackle, thinking the Eagles might take one and develop them. Because they need tackle, especially for the future. So they would make a lot of sense, regardless of what direction you ultimately go. Yeah, and I am holding that pick, so we would be able to we would talk about it. But.
Yeah, because I mean the Bills did just bring in DJ Moore, and you got him and Khalil Shakir,
which definitely great receiving core for one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
Definitely enough.
Yeah, I would. If I were the Bills, I'd be looking to move up as well. I don't know. What do the Bills have as far as trade capital goes?
So if we did a proposed trade, so they don't have much from this year's class, I don't think.
Yeah.
Because they traded the second round pick for DJ Moore. But this level of trade up, you don't necessarily need that level of capital. Yeah. So if we go to the Chargers here too.
From the Chargers, I'd rather trade with the Bills than the Niners because the Niners are likely looking for things similar to the Chargers because they're teams that have similar needs and draft very similarly in terms of what they like.
For the sake of it, we could just do that because, again, it won't affect this muck anyway. If you want this to happen, I think that there's enough here that you could figure something out between these teams.
Yeah.
Just, it won't be. I don't think it would be 91 necessarily, but like you get like something could get done. Here.
Yeah, I don't think 91's crazy compensation.
Yeah, that either. But either way, like the point is, this could get done somehow.
Yeah,
looking at it, so we'll
be
do
good with that. Yep.
Yeah, and the trade has been accepted. So I will be picking
Bills,
for the. Well, you're picking for the Bills still
Yep.
because it was that pick. So yeah, who are you taking here?
So from the Bills, Mekhi Lemon is still on the board, is he not?
Nope. I
No,
took
he
him
went.
at 13
That's
to the
right.
Rams.
So I am taking. I am gonna take the risk on injury boy here. Jordan Tyson here to the
Well,
Bills.
guess what? You can't do that either because I took him at 19. I got you twice on that.
I keep looking because the problem is after I pick, I look at the roster of the next team I'm picking for.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Okay.
So you got Omar Cooper Jr., Casey Concepcion.
Yeah, I'm just taking Casey Concepcion here because
which I don't hate
on the Bills would rock.
Probably because it's the Bills.
I mean, it's a little too close to what a lot of what they have, but I don't really care because that man plays a lot bigger than he is.
That and also like he is the size of a lot of the guys they have, but he's not the play style of a lot of guys they have.
Yeah, he's still an outside receiver.
Yeah, like he's not the big receiver that you're hoping Keon Coleman would be, but also like at this point you just need players who are good.
Yeah.
So I don't really, so for the Eagles here, I think based on my own evaluations here, I think I'm going to put Ehonicher to the Eagles here as their developmental tackle over Freeling. I think that's where I'm at this point with those two. And I think that's where I'm going to go because I don't want to play with the idea that we're trading A.J. Brown necessarily because I still think that isn't a guarantee with this contract and just the way things are for them. But I think they do need to think about life after Lane Johnson, and I think Ehonicher is a very good candidate to potentially be that guy. So I will take him at 23. Browns 24. What do you got?
So Browns here
took Fano 6 as a reminder.
Yeah.
So
I think for the Browns we're gonna go wide receiver here. We're gonna go and I actually realized I probably would have rather flipped this. I think I'd have rather taken Boston to the Bills just because of the fit I do think is better. But I'm going to go Boston to the Browns.
All right. Let's do Boston. Okay.
Because they just need somebody to play wide receiver outside just to figure out if you have anything at quarterback.
That's fair. They do need a bigger receiver ideally too, in my opinion. Bears at 25. If this happens in the draft, I think that this is a perfect fit, both for team and schematically. If it'll change back over, there we go. Akeem Mesidor to the Bears feels like a very Bears draft pick. They need edge rush. He's ready to go. He's an older player, but he's a power player like they like with Dennis Allen. Makes too much sense. So I'll go Akeem Mesidor at 25.
There you go. And then I am going Caden McDonald here to the Chargers.
Ooh,
getting that value.
So you did the thing we didn't do in the other one because we took Peter Woods because he was not available to you anyway here.
Yep. So and I didn't like McDonald at 22. It was just kind of like
Peter Woods was also there too, so like that was different too.
That's the big thing. Like McDonald's 25 on my board, so like 22 I don't hate, but I'd rather if you're the Chargers, you got to try to get more draft capital.
Yeah. For me here, as much as I love Omar Cooper Jr. and not as much as apparently some people do, because even some people are higher on him than I am at this point, which I wouldn't have guessed would be the case from when I watched him originally. I do think the Niners need to eat their vegetables a little bit here and take a tackle who can potentially be the long-term answer for them. And of the group left, for me, that would be Monroe Freeling. You develop him. He has the movement skills you want for that scheme. He should be able to learn for a year or potentially maybe try to play right tackle if you want to compete there. This is more the range the Freeling should go instead of 6 to the Browns like we started hearing a while back. Maybe that's not going to be the case anymore. Maybe that's cooled off a little bit, but still closer to the end of the first round to take a chance on him. So Monroe Freeling to the Niners. Texans up here, 28.
Texans, yeah, Shocker. We're gonna go tackle here as well because they just
Okay.
don't have a right tackle, and they're still figuring out what they have at left tackle.
This is true.
My best tackle available is Caden Proctor.
Okay. Fair enough. I still think he's a guard at the end of the day, or probably should play guard.
Still start at guard for the Texans.
That is true. And I also don't think that that's the end of the world if he is a guard at 28, because I think that's totally fine. Maybe he could still be a tackle. We'll see. But we'll take Caden Proctor. Chiefs at 29. I believe I took Cardinal Tate before.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not where I can see it. I'm pretty sure it was, because I don't want to scroll up right now because it's being laggy a little bit. Anyway, I believe I took Cardinal Tate at 9. 90% sure of that.
It's kind of hilarious what you can do here, considering you're between I was saying you're between Tate and McCoy.
Yeah,
earlier.
Guess what? I can just take his teammate.
Yeah.
Well, barely, not really even, because but yeah, I'm gonna take Colton Hood here. Yeah, it's gonna be Colton Hood. He scheme fit, talent wise, totally worth this pick. I think the Chiefs should love this. If you're a Chiefs fan, then you should definitely love that pick. Awesome. So Dolphins picked. I took Mansour Delane for them at 30. There's a player staring me in the face. I don't know if you love him enough to take him here. You might take a different player over in the same position at this point. But I'm curious what you decide to do with this pick here.
This is another kind of a BPA team, considering they just don't have
anything.
Nothing. Yeah.
Don't love what's on the board at wide receiver, but
oh man,
I know I'm not doing
I know.
But for me, I think my best player available at this point, this is where we get towards the fringe of first round territory for me, but I only have one first round grade left on the board here, and I think like I said, they're all positions of need. But I'm taking they're already pretty invested at tackle. Tackle's kind of like they don't really need to go tackle here.
Austin Jackson is a free agent after this year and probably not coming back.
He is?
Just If you
Yeah, you know what? We're gonna do. I ain't a core here.
I hate to break it to you, buddy. I took him a while ago.
That's right. You did.
Yeah.
I keep doing that. I keep looking away.
I took him to the Eagles at 23. Yeah, so he's
and that would work great for them.
Yeah, I would like that. Yeah, for sure. But unfortunately,
then my next best available player would be Elijah Surratt.
That's what I thought you were gonna do. And man, thinking of Elijah Surratt trying to be the top receiver in this offense is, frankly, I feel bad for him more so than I feel bad for the Dolphins for making the pick. I wouldn't obviously have Omar Cooper Jr. significantly higher than Surratt, but I get the premise there. Let me find him here because for some reason the mock wants to fight me right now.
I think you could do fun things with that. If you have a good offensive coordinator, you could do fun things with Jalen Tolbert, and Tutu Atwell.
I'll be honest with you. There might be one offensive coordinator currently alive who I would believe could field an offense above average with that receiving core, and he coaches San Francisco right now, and he's not coaching the Dolphins. So I'm not going to put it past them to figure it out, but it'd be tough. In my opinion.
Thing with those three is they're all three guys that can line up at pretty much any wide receiver spot.
Right. Yeah. So there's that. I understand that element of it. Yeah, for me, I can't quite get there. For me here, I think.
Oh, I just realized that's not actually the BPA.
Is it Keldrick Falk?
Yeah, that's my BPA right now. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I'm glad you didn't say it because I would have raged at you if you took Keldrick Falk to the. No, I was kind of want to rage at you. At 30, it's still pushing it for me, but I would understand it more than 11. He's just getting some buzz at 11. I'm telling you what, right now, I know that I don't have like a fan investment in that team, but since I'm covering the Dolphins now, if during the draft show, if I have to stop doing the draft show for a little bit to write about Keldrick Falk being the pick at 11, it's going to be an all timer, Dalton. I'm going to say some stuff that I will not allow to be clipped onto the internet and put anywhere, probably. You can only watch it if you watch the stream. It's not going to be good. And I'll probably have to apologize to Keldrick Falk's family if they were to ever see it, basically, is where I'm at with that. But I'm if you would have done it at 30, I would have been like, I don't love it, but they don't have that type. And if there's ever been a Green Bay Packers looking edge rusher, holy shit, does it look like Keldrick Falk? And that's what that group is from with the Dolphins that came in. So that would make a ton of sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think for me, this Patriots team, man, they're I don't know about the Will Campbell thing long term. I'm not taking a left tackle in the situation because they want to play him there and whatever. But Morgan Moses is old and never plays a full season except for like last year, which is why they got to the Super Bowl, because they were healthy like all year for the most part. I know you don't like this player. We just talked about him very much. I think Blake Miller is a really good pick for the Patriots team that just needs a future at right tackle and a floor there for their quarterback, who clearly was able to still get it done, even though the offensive line was still iffy at times. I'm going to take that pretty easily for them. And we're up then with the Seahawks.
So then if he does fall this far, from the Seahawks, I'm sprinting the card in for Keldrick Falk because Mike McDonald would turn him into a superstar.
He'd find a way. Well, no, what Mike McDonald would do is he'd look at him and he'd be like, oh, no, that's a 295-pound 3-4 defensive end that's going to replace what's his face? It's starting for them now. I really should know his name off the top of my head. This is frustrating. Leonard Williams.
Leonard Williams.
Yeah.
See, I think he's the heir apparent to DeMarcus Lawrence in that.
I think if he's going to be an edge rusher, like that's closer to the thing.
That's
is like
what
I think
is.
Right, but I think like current DeMarcus Lawrence is the problem, is that he's a really good player but not a great pass rusher. I think that's possible, that he could be that.
But at the end of the day, DeMarcus Lawrence does enough in the pass rush and you love what he does as a run defender, though.
Right. Like now, if you were telling me I was getting DeMarcus, if I was getting like early career DeMarcus Lawrence, we'd be cooking at 32. But I worry that we're getting late career DeMarcus Lawrence, which is still not a bad pick. But yeah, I get what you're saying. But this is the
it's
first.
It's kind of the opposite though, because he's going to grow into the position. It's like Benjamin. He's the Benjamin Button of
DeMarcus Lawrence's.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not buying into it. I'm not. You thought I was going to say I believe it.
30.
No, we're done.
We can't debate this any longer.
We're not going to debate this yet. This was a long show. It was fun though. I thought this was a fun episode. But yeah, I'm not going to keep Dalton any longer. Unlike me, he probably doesn't, stay up this late by default because he's an insane person. So I'll get us out of here. This is definitely, again, a lot of fun. I think that hopefully if Jake's good to be able to do something, him and I can maybe get together, do one more show while Dalton is busy with stuff. But if not, next time you'll see us is Tuesday before the draft. We'll be doing our big board. This year should be a top 100 big board for all three of us and a consensus board if I can get it to work properly.
Yeah.
And that'll be a ton of fun to go over. And then we'll do a predictive mock based on what we think is actually going to happen, since we haven't really done that at all this cycle yet. So any final words you want to throw out there?
I don't think so. A lot of fun. Yeah. Very curious to see what our big boards look like. As you guys have probably figured out, we're going to be a little far apart on some guys, and that always makes the big board a lot of fun because the way they average out is hilarious.
Sometimes, there's a couple on the board last year. It's like, that's interesting that he ended up there. And because you look at our individual boards, like, this guy's 17th. It's like, I didn't put him on my 50 board. And he's on there, though, at like 42 because he had the equivalent of 33 points, basically, is how we kind of do it. So it's going to be interesting to see if we have any like really funny outliers of like, oh, man, this guy's consensus like 12 on the board and he's 54. It's like, wait a minute, huh? It's like, because like one of us has them like 100, one of us has them like 40. So it's gonna be a lot of fun to see how that plays out. But that'll do it for us this week, folks. And we'll see you at least next Tuesday before the draft. If not, it might be before that. Again, if Jake and I can get something